And what's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? Welcome in to like basically the first official video of the Young Guns podcast. We got Harrison Jolly in the chat, Joseph Clark, Big Blue Jabroni. How y'all doing? Kidblue. We finally got a name for this thing, man.
Yeah, it's been a long, tedious process, guys, and I hope you guys were there for the ride. Yeah, the Young Guns Pod. I actually really like the name, and whoever made that name, I know they wanted to be shouted out. I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was Raphael, but I don't want to be mistaken.
Yeah.
But yeah, whoever came up with the name, man, make sure you guys leave your information below, man. Just say it was you guys, and we definitely give you guys a shout out. But also, Kush, I'm loving the background right now for the graphics, man. I'm loving it.
Oh, thank you. The one that I just covered up.
Yeah.
That's
That's awesome, man.
Thank you. That's my new banner. I actually spent basically like the past 2 nights. Some people on the channel know him. My friend Farhan. He's the one that helps me make all this stuff, make the banner, make the intro. First of all, it was just supposed to be a really simple thing. I was just supposed to update my intro because, it shows the videos in the back, and I was like, wow, I'm using clips from like 2 years ago. Let me just change these. And then we got into a whole thing where I made myself a new banner, which is the one that you saw. The intro that I made, the new one, is basically the same, just a different font. Made a new outro and all that, but like somehow, some way, this thing was born, and I was like, this is fire, bro. This is straight fire. Like, it looks a lot better than my old banner, I'll tell you that. Like, let's take another look at that dude right here. It looks a lot better than the old one.
Sometimes innovation happens by accident, man.
Exactly. He was like, yo, let's do some color blocks. I was like, what in the world is color blocks? And apparently color blocking is this, like, the 3 different shades that's over the picture or something. I didn't even know what that was. But
yeah, I need to learn how to do that, man.
So, I can after stream, bro. I got you if you got time. But let's get to the chat real quick. Harrison Jolly, Joseph Clark, Big Blue Jabroni. How are you guys doing? Kidblue, I think one thing that we should do before we get into it is that I hope that everybody's staying safe out there, whether it's with Corona or the riots and protesting. But we're gonna try to not get into all of that just because it's very political. That's not what the channel's about, So I'm going to try, and we're going to try to maybe give you guys some, I don't know, I don't want to say a distraction, but something else to think about in this time. You know what I mean, Kidblue?
Exactly, man. Something for you guys to just, I'm sorry, my mouth is full.
It's all right.
But yeah, obviously in this time right now, we're going through a pandemic. We're going through these riots. We definitely need an outlet right now. We definitely need to shift our mind, shift our brain somewhere else, and why not have it be something we're all passionate about, something that we've all been discussing on our channels for years now, and we just gotta keep moving strong, man. Gotta keep going.
Exactly. So what up, Sajid, Joseph Clark, thank you, and Harrison Jolly, it does look nice. Kevin Cronin in the house, one of my mods. How you guys doing? So Kidblue, with that being said, man, today I released a video trying to predict how the NFC East would go. Not necessarily records for each team, but like where each team is going to place. Now, I think we both agree the Giants are moving in the right direction, but we're probably like a year or 2 away. So I had the Giants placing, like 3rd in the NFC East. How you got the NFC East playing out, my guy? In general, how you got it playing out?
So you would have to tell me how yours went out, but I would say my prediction is pretty non-extraordinary. Okay, unextraordinary. It's just the Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, Redskins. I don't know if anybody else has it like that. I think the majority would. Listen, I think the Dallas Cowboys are a lot better than people are giving them credit for. I get that what can go wrong will go wrong down in Dallas, but they've made some changes as well. We have to acknowledge that. New coaching staff. The defense isn't great, but they added some veterans that in a win now scenario can get them closer to a playoff run and go deep in it. Adding Don Terry Poe, adding Gerald McCoy, adding HaHa Clinton Dix on that defense. I think a lot of people really overlooked that. I know their secondary is a little weak, especially on the cornerback core. Jordan Lewis is starting along with I believe Anthony Brown there, who's I believe a former nickel corner.
At least
moving
they
to the
got
outside.
Trayvon in the draft, though. At least they did that.
Exactly, Trayvon Diggs. I really love that pick. And as far as the Dallas Cowboys goes, I think they're a force to be reckoned with. I know I have this Dallas hate. I hate Dallas with all my might, man. But one thing you have to have in a rivalry is respect for one another. And I definitely respect the Dallas Cowboys. I think they're a potential 12-win team. I'm not going to say it's going to happen just because of what can go wrong will go wrong with the Dallas Cowboys. But especially adding CeeDee Lamb takes the top off of that team, man. He's a cherry on top. And so I see Dallas taking the NFC East. And you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, they're still leagues better. Say what you want about the Eagles with their injury issues and, Carson Wentz, whether he's going to play in the playoffs or not. They're still leagues better than the New York Giants and the Washington Redskins. And I still think they're going to compete with the Dallas Cowboys, but I think in the end they'll pull away. But the Philadelphia Eagles are interesting. They're very hit or miss. This is one of the teams in the NFC East that has the highest ceiling, yet the lowest floor as well.
The Eagles?
Being that the Eagles, because I don't feel like the Giants and the Redskins really have high ceilings. They definitely have low floors, but not high ceilings. The Philadelphia Eagles and the NFC East are probably the most hit or miss to me. And then you look at the New York Giants. I think they're in third place. I know a lot of Giants fans want to predict we make the playoffs, and I definitely think we're going to produce. Saying that the Giants will place third in the NFC East really doesn't mean that they're not going to be producing this season and progressing from the past few seasons. I feel like the New York Giants are still going to rank third, but they're still going to have a fairly decent season for our standards. I'm talking, 7-9. I really would love to have a 79 season, but that would still rank us third in the NFC East, in my opinion. And then the Redskins, obviously, I don't even need to explain that. There's no science to explain that. The Redskins are at the bottom.
No, straight up, I agree with everything you said. My rankings are exactly the same. I got Cowboys coming in first place, Eagles second, Giants third, Redskins fourth. With the Giants and Eagles, they can really switch, and I think a lot of people are overlooking that. I completely agree with you. I think the Eagles are probably at their most vulnerable point, and we got Kidblue RB27 in the chat, guys. Would you check that out? I don't know where this dude is. He got a clone, one in here with me and one typing in the chat. But yeah. So the Eagles, this is the most vulnerable they've been essentially since like 2016 when they started rising, right?
Right.
They just lost so many players in free agency. They lost so much depth to that defense and their offensive line. Also, they lost a backup tackle whose name I can't pronounce. I know his last name is Vatai. Cannot pronounce his first name for the life of me. He might have been. I
wouldn't even attempt that.
Yeah, exactly. Like he might have been a backup, but the Eagles, they use their depth wisely. So the fact that they lost solid depth players on that line is gonna affect them a lot, especially with Wentz and him being injury prone. But that defense, man, they lost Bradham, they lost Darby, they lost Jenkins. These are not random players on their defense. These are like keystone players for the Eagles, right? They might not work out elsewhere, but they worked out for the Eagles, much like, Nick Foles did. He might not work out elsewhere, but when he was with the Eagles, he worked out there, and, it got them a Super Bowl. Their Super Bowl defense is basically gone, but also the depth, man. Like, something that people forget is that year, 2017, the reason the Eagles went so far in the playoffs was because of just how stacked they were when it comes to, players behind the stars, when it comes to the depth pieces, the second string guys, the third string guys. Most of that is gone now in this offseason. So if any of their starting guys get injured, especially on the defense, it's clips for the Eagles. I know the past couple of years they kind of been slipping by with, literally putting dudes that were flipping burgers playing on the field and somehow it worked out. I don't know how it's going to work out again this year, man. Like, the Eagles, I got them in second place, but they can really slip.
Yeah, and you have to take into account as well the cornerstone of that Eagles offense for years. Jason Peters is not there anymore. Andrew Dillard is now taking the mantle as the starting left tackle. And now Andrew Dillard was one of my favorite tackles in that draft. So we'll see how he turns out. I believe he was a second-round pick. Really good pass protector. Excited to see what he does. Hopefully he fails.
But he's no Jason Peters.
but he's no Jason Peters. Exactly my point. And you look at Lane Johnson. He's had some injury issues. That Philadelphia Eagles offensive line is great, but will Andre Dillard be half as good as Jason Peters was for that team? We will have to see. But transitioning from one cornerstone left tackle to a young left tackle is a big transition. So we'll see how that turns out as well.
Exactly. And Sajid says the Eagles have negative 51 million cap next year. Yo, I know their cap situation was bad, but is that actually true? Do you know if that's true? Negative $51 million in cap?
No, I don't think. I think that's a little over exaggerated, just because if they're negative 51 this year, next year they gotta be in the negatives this year, and I don't think any Eagles.
Exactly. And like,
money.
Is that legal? Can you be that much like below the cap or over? You know what I mean?
Yeah. In the next years, like, say if the Eagles, like, a real legitimate number could be like 10 million over the cap next year. They can be, but they cannot go through the season like that. They cannot allow that. That's something they have to either cut players, renegotiate contracts, and do that. But as far as future years, yeah, they're allowed to be over the cap because it's not like they're giving them that money now.
Yeah.
But anytime this season, they cannot be over the cap.
But that's one of the other reasons too that like they let go of these players, right? Like the way the Eagles contracts were structured for basically the entirety of that defense, which was built off of veterans, was super backloaded. Kind of like what actually no, because the Giants restructured their contracts for Bradbury and Martinez, but the Eagles contracts were like super backloaded, and it was all coming up this year and next year. So I kind of understand why they let them go, but then they didn't replace them at all, yo. Like, they did not replace Ronald Darby. They did not replace Malcolm Jenkins. They did not replace Nigel Bradham. And their linebacking core still hasn't been addressed. Like, we can talk about their draft. The fact that the Eagles stay ignoring their middle linebacker position. There's a lot of holes on this team now.
Right. And you look at that linebacking core, man. I just finished actually not making a video. I didn't record it yet, but I'm in the works of making an all NFC East team for the 2020 season, and I'm looking at the Philadelphia Eagles linebacking core, and oh my god, I did not know it was that bad.
Is it worse than ours?
Dude, it's far worse than ours. This is not even the biasness in me. I would take the New York Giants linebacking core all day versus the Philadelphia Eagles linebacking core. They cannot tell us anything about our linebacking core. I know a lot of Eagles fans like to talk trash because of our linebacking core in the past couple of years, but theirs is ridiculously bad.
And they stay ignoring it.
Without Jordan Hicks. Yeah, without Jordan Hicks, it's a team without Nigel Bradham, right? You have Nathan Gary starting. You have TJ Edwards. Who is TJ Edwards starting at middle linebacker? He's starting. And Duke Riley from the Atlanta Falcons. They did draft Davion Taylor in the third round last year, as well as Sean Bradley, who is a Temple standout, a local kid.
Oh, I remember Sean Bradley. I had my eye on him for the Giants. But
right, and they also have some depth with Jatavis Brown, formerly of the Los Angeles Chargers. In my honest opinion, I like the depth players more than the starters.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say, Larry. Like, let's be
terrible.
real. Like, what's the chance of Sean Bradley becoming a legitimate starter versus him being a great depth piece?
Right, exactly. And I'll tell you what, right now, I like Avonte Maddox starting because I think he's better than people say he is, but I don't think he's going to be an elite number 2 cornerback. And then you look at Darius Slay, I think his best years are behind him. Jalen Mills moved to the safety position, which is usually a benefit from corners that really can't play corner. They usually play better at safety, but he's not a true safety. And then Rodney McLeod, I don't know.
I think it's McLeod.
But yeah, McLeod, whatever. Rodney McLeod. Eagles fans have been complaining about him for years.
Yo, their secondary, we staged like joking about their secondary, and their secondary is actually kind of trash. I know they hyping up the Darius Slay trade, and Darius Slay is an upgrade from Ronald Darby. I don't care what anybody says, but he's not what they hyping him up to be. I got people saying he's like an elite top 5 corner in the league, and I'm like, have you watched football in the past 3-4 years? Darius Slay hasn't played at that level in like 3-4 years. And you could even make the argument dude has never played at that level. He's just been a really good cornerback throughout his career. But the fact that, oh my God, I just don't get what the Eagles are doing, because they don't even make an attempt to try and fix the linebacking core. You know what I'm saying? And then their secondary is bad, and depth, except, it's funny enough, you brought it up, they have depth at linebacker, but everywhere else they don't have that many. They don't have good depth. It's so crazy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I'm hoping the Eagles fail just as much as the next guy. So I'm rejoicing about this.
And shout out to Joseph Clark. Thank you for the $2 super chat. He says, if Haskins develops, look out for the skins. And before we get into that real quick, today, guys, and I know some of you in the chat will notice, I tried to do a stream, a video stream with Big Blue Jabroni. We're going to try and get a video out tomorrow. And by the way, if you haven't already, go down to the description, click on the link, subscribe to Kidblue. Check out Big Blue Jabroni's channel also. But that stream failed so bad. But I want to say, if Mike Nixon is in here, I don't think he's in here right now. Shout out to Mike Nixon. He gave me like a $50 super chat in that stream, and I didn't even have to thank him properly because I had to end the stream. The stream was like 6 minutes long, and like half of it was me trying to have the thing to stop lagging. So Mike Nixon,
I would
wherever you see this,
whole separate video, man.
I might do that. I actually might do that. That's a pretty good idea. I might do that. You know what, Mike Nixon, if you see it, if you don't see it, bro, thank you. Shout out to you. And Joseph Clark, thank you for the $2 super chat. I kind of agree with what he says. The thing is, though, I don't think Haskins is developing. What do you think about that?
I completely agree with what he's saying. And the reason why I'm so confident in the Redskins being in the basement this year is because I don't think Dwayne Haskins is going to work out. And I will completely take responsibility for this because I was one of those people a year ago those before the draft. I was praising Dwayne Haskins, well, because he wanted to be a Giant, and I was really starting to really like the idea of a local guy that really wants to be a New York Giant. He it's his favorite team, and he's making it known that he would come here and play. And I was really overhyping Dwayne Haskins, but looking at the guy on film and looking at his experience in the league, his time in the NFL really shows how little time he had in college.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I think he could be a decent quarterback, but will he ever amount to being the pick he was? I don't think so. This is not me hating on him because he's a Redskin. I don't care about the Redskins. I'm just saying it as a fact. I don't think Dwayne Haskins is going to – is he going to be a bust? No. But I don't think he's going to lead the Redskins to where they should be. If you look at the Redskins in the past couple of years, their roster on paper actually is pretty good.
Yeah.
The problem is they have a lot of guys. It's the coaching staff. It's the injury. I mean, that's the reason why Trent Williams wanted out of there.
Yeah. Remember was it 2018 or was it last year? I can't even remember when Alex Smith basically almost led them to the playoffs.
Right, exactly. And I believe they were like I believe they were
like 5-2 or something.
Something like that. I think they were like 6-2 or something like that. They were doing great, the Redskins, and they need a quarterback to take them that far. I don't think Dwayne Haskins will be that guy. Maybe not this year. Maybe next year. Maybe the year after that. Just not this year. So I'm not worried about them this year. But if you look at their depth chart, it's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I do like their roster on paper. The problem is they have the injury bug. The problem is their coaching sucks. But they did also reset the coaching, as did most NFC East teams resetted their coaching. So the Redskins are another team we don't know what to expect from them, just like the New York Giants. But as far as momentum goes, I think the Giants have a lot more momentum than the Washington Redskins.
Oh, without a doubt, I think we have a lot more momentum. But before I get into the Dwayne Haskins thing, you actually think the Redskins have a good roster? Because I don't. I really think the only good part of the Redskins team as of right now is their defensive line. And this might be a bold thing, but I think they have one of the best defensive lines in the league now. It's almost up there with the 49ers. But other than that, I'm looking at linebacking core. I'm looking at their secondary. Their offensive line is okay. Their weapons are okay. But it's like, I don't know. What do you see in the Redskins team that makes you say on paper it's a good roster? Because all I see is a good defensive line.
Well, I'll tell you right now, the wide receivers do need some help. Terry McLaurin is great. Kelvin Harmon is fine. Trey Quinn, I don't know. I'm not too sure about that. They have Cody Latimer as well. They also drafted Antonio Gandy Golden,
which I was angry. Yo, the NFC East teams just sniped everybody from the Giants. That right. like Biotish went to the Cowboys. You know,
Oh
Gandy
yeah.
Golden went to the Redskins. I'm not sure if you want him, but I wanted Bradley and Anai in the later
Yeah,
rounds,
Sean
and he went
Bradley.
to the
Bradley and
Cowboys.
I and Shaw Bradley.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
But as far as their offense goes, they have the most stacked running back core I've ever seen in my entire life.
Hmm.
Yes, you have a beat up, old Adrian Peterson that still can do something in this league. Darius Guice, who always gets hurt, but when he's healthy, oh my god. Antonio Gibson out of Memphis, they drafted. They drafted Bryce Love, who was supposed to be a first-round pick along with Christian McCaffrey, but he didn't go in that draft.
Yeah.
Instead, he stood another year, wound up being a fourth-round pick because of his injuries. They also have Peyton Barber on there and J.D. McKissick. They have one of the most stacked running back cores on there that I think, yes, they have some guys that have injury issues, but I think they stacked up that running back core because they know that guys are going to get hurt. So I really love what they're doing in the running back core. Their offensive line is getting a lot better. Brandon Scherf is just money. You have Ross Pierschbacher, who's a guy at the center position out of Alabama who's developmental, but if he develops, it'll be great. Sadiq Charles, the tackle out of LSU, is probably not going to start. I think it says here on Our Lads that he's listed as a guard. I don't know about that. But they have some guys that can potentially start on that offensive line, and Morgan Moses is great as well. That defensive line, man.
The defensive line
insane.
is one of the best in the NFL, man. Straight up.
I'll tell you right now, you could survive a secondary like that. Keep in mind, their secondary isn't terrible. I really like Kendall Fuller. I don't know about anybody else, but I really like Kendall Fuller. Fabian Moreau is okay. They also added Ronald Darby. And Landon Collins is Landon Collins. They also added Sean Davis, who was a decent Pittsburgh safety. DeShazier Everett is still there. Jimmy Moreland, the late round pick a couple years ago. And you look at their linebacking core isn't fantastic, but something that really jumps out at me is Thomas Davis. Yes, he's at the tail end of his career, but he's still good. Chase Young, Ryan Kerrigan, who a lot of people forget about, which I think is nonsense. Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Matt Ioannidis, Tim Settle, Ryan Anderson, like this.
The Redskins' defensive line is like beyond stacked, yo.
It's insane.
You know what it reminds me of?
I think that defense can get away with it.
You know what it reminds me of? And this might be just a complete disservice, and I might get a little hate from Giants fans. The way it's stacked reminds me of the way the 2007 Giants D-line was stacked, where like you got multiple guys there that could start.
Oh yeah, that's no doubt about it. And I know people might not want to say that just because a lot of these guys are not at the level of Strahan and Umenyiora, but you can compare that. Mm-hmm. Montez Sweat didn't have a fantastic rookie campaign, but I'm sure is going to do a lot better. Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen, Jonathan Allen are great on the interior. Ryan Kerrigan is one of the most underrated players in the NFL. And freaking Chase Young, dude.
Yo, how do you think Chase Young is going to do his rookie year? Let's just get into that for a quick second. Because he's going to be in basically the situation Bosa was last year, where he came into a great defensive line.
Yes, exactly. Now, the only problem is I love Chase Young, don't get me wrong. I just feel like Nick Bosa is better. But Chase Young can pull up similar numbers that Nick Bosa put up because of the production on the edge. Ryan Kerrigan, Montez Sweat, if you throw in Ryan Anderson in there, Matt Ioannidis can rush from the edge as well. And you're getting interior rush as well. Deron Payne can rush the interior. Jonathan Allen was one of my favorite prospects to watch out of the draft back in 2017, and he can definitely rush the passer from the inside. So you're looking at a whole defensive line that can rush the passer that are going to have some attention other than Chase Young. Chase Young in Ohio State was making his money beating double and triple teams. Now you have to imagine Chase Young constantly being, very rarely being put double teamed because
they got to pay attention to the rest of them.
There.
Exactly.
For all the other firepower there, you have to pay attention to them as well. And listen, the Redskins defensive line, if I'll tell you right now, they stay healthy, they're going to be top in the league. I am not joking about that.
That's the thing, though, right? Like, how often, and I'm not familiar with this, but, like, how injury-prone is that defensive line?
The problem isn't just the defensive line, man. It's the whole entire team just can't recover from injuries. They have minor injuries that then get severe. This is something that Trent Williams brought up. This is the actual reason why he was traded. He hated the way things were run there in Washington, and he felt like the training staff didn't care about the players and wouldn't help them get to full strength. There were starting players that were injured, all of this and that. We'll see how Ron Rivera runs his team. But I don't know if they recycled or replaced the training staff. But a lot of guys were getting hurt. Deron Payne, I believe, was hurt. Jonathan Allen was hurt, especially in his rookie year. I don't know about Montez Sweat. I know Ryan Kerrigan is pretty consistent. But as a whole, the wide receivers, the running backs, even the quarterbacks, Alex Smith, for example, these guys just constantly keep getting hurt. And also, Sean Dion Hamilton also was one, and John Bostic, Reuben Foster. Who else? Who else really gets hurt? A lot of players on that team really get hurt, especially from the inside linebackers. John Bostic, Reuben Foster, Sean Dion Hamilton. All these guys get hurt constantly. So there's no doubt in my mind they're going to get hit by the injury bug again, which is unfortunate because I think they have a good roster to make some noise. Not necessarily make a playoff run, but I think they can make some noise in the NFL or in the NFC East at least. But the problem is the injury bug, man. The problem is the injuries.
And shout out to Paula the Jesus. He said, "What's going on, Kidblue?" I'm guessing he's a regular viewer of yours, Kidblue.
Yeah, it's a girl, Paola.
Paola, yeah. I bet. Yeah. Joseph says, now that I think about it, I think the Eagles are gonna have not too great of a year. Like for me, it's exactly what KB said at the beginning of the stream. It's like they have a pretty good ceiling, but they also have a really low floor. It's just gonna be hit or miss.
Right, exactly. The Eagles are definitely one of the teams in the NFC East that can really dip as far as the record goes. Really dip and really elevate. So it's very hard to tell from
I'll keep it real with you. I would not be surprised if the Eagles just straight up come in last place in the NFC East this year. I wouldn't be surprised.
Woo!
I really wouldn't.
Woo, I hope so, man.
Because it's what you just said, right? And you kind of part of it is kind of what you just explained to me. The Redskins do have a better team than a lot of people realize on paper if they stay healthy, right? Of course, the key word here being, if they stay healthy. And then the Eagles are the exact opposite. The Eagles are they're just not a good team on paper right now, man. You got to look at the depth. It's just not there. The guys they drafted, and let's get into the Eagles draft real quick. They needed a speedy wide receiver, and they got Jalen Reagor, who he has speed to him. He has quickness to him. I think he just was not the right pick for that offense. Of course, they ignored the linebacker. They went and got Jalen Hurts. They did have a good draft, in day 3 and whatnot, but realistically speaking, the chances of those dudes making an impact is pretty low. Like the Eagles, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I completely agree with you as far as their draft goes, man. They went so backwards when the Eagles. What the Eagles really need is defense, and I know a lot of people really wanted offense. Like Eagles fans just wanted wide receivers. I mean, Philly 500 wanted like 4 wide receivers in the draft, and which they did. They got 3 wide receivers in the draft. The problem is they have so much depth. How are these receivers really going to make an impact? They have so much depth on that wide receiver, and they're not great. They're like a bunch of average talent.
Exactly.
Like, this is the same. The Eagles have the same problem at the wide receiver position that the Giants do have at the edge rusher position. The Giants constantly are providing average talent to add along with average talent on the edge rushers for the edge rushers, and it's not going to make any impact. Similar to the wide receiver position for the Philadelphia Eagles, adding average talent to average talent equals average talent. I mean, it doesn't matter how you look at it. It doesn't matter if I like John Hightower out of Boise State. Is he going to be better than Jalen Reagor or Marquise Goodwin or even J.J. Arcega-Whiteside or maybe even Greg Ward that everybody loves? Is he going to be better? Probably not.
I have no idea.
Probably not.
And wasn't JJ like somebody? And by the way, shout out to Mizrahi in the chat, a great supporter of basically all Giants channels, man. How you doing? He said 9-7 Giants. He agreed the Eagles are overrated. We'll get to the Giants just now. We're going over the NFC East right now. We haven't even gotten to the Cowboys yet, which I'm
I love this. I love this conversation, man.
yeah,
I love it.
I'm kind of excited to get to the Cowboys, which I don't know how I feel saying that as a Giants fan. but yeah, so what were we just talking about? The Redskins? No, the Eagles, right? Yeah. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, he was somebody last year that Eagles fans were getting up in arms about. They were like, oh my God, he's going to be our number one target, our number two target. He's going to be the next great Eagles. It's like, yeah. Like, how long before that thing happens with Jalen Reagor?
Exactly my point. The Eagles are impatient. Listen, a lot of people say this, that the Giants and Eagles fans are very comparable. They're very passionate. But one thing I will tell you is that Giants fans are more patient with their players and coaching staff than the Philadelphia Eagles are. They will, I'm telling you right now, and you can look at certain Eagles video makers, they will love Carson Wentz one week and just
crucify him.
Crap all over. Crucify Carson Wentz the next week. They can go Carson Wentz is the GOAT to we should have kept Nick Foles week to week. And I'm not even exaggerating. This is what I'm hearing from Eagles fans. And it's ridiculous. But the Eagles organization is just like that as well as far as the wide receiver position. They keep getting this average talent and think that they're going to do something with it. They drafted Khalil. They didn't draft Khalil Tate. They brought in Khalil Tate out of Arizona to be a wide receiver. So we'll see how that goes. I don't understand what the Eagles are trying to do, man. They drafted Jalen Hurts. A lot of people are saying there's rumors they want him to be a wide receiver.
What?
They got Khalil Tate.
Hold up. Does he even have the ability?
Listen, man. I'm telling you right now, the Eagles are all screwed up, and I love it, man.
I don't care what anybody says, man. Listen, I don't care what anybody says because they've been trying to paint the Jalen Hurts pick as a gadget pick. You don't draft a gadget dude in the second round, my guy.
In the first round. Yeah. You're talking about
Jalen Hurts? Yeah. So, like, I don't care what they say. The Eagles fully drafted that guy believing that he's going to be a great backup and a potential heir to Carson Wentz. And that it's not only stupid because he wasn't worth the pick. It's stupid because you had way bigger needs, man. You had so many other needs, and they just stay ignoring it.
Even wide receiver, the biggest need they drafted 3 wide receivers, and they decided to skip.
And by the way, none of these wide receivers are going to complete the goal that they actually need the wide receiver to complete.
Exactly. I don't even think their first round pick is going to be who they think they are.
And Jalen
Reagor. Yeah, I think I would have chosen Denzel Mims over him.
Justin Jefferson, bro.
Justin Jefferson.
He was still on the board
right after. Yeah, he was picked right after the Eagles drafted Jalen Reagor.
Jesus Christ. And the thing is, though, I will say this. I do think Jalen Reagor is going to have a good rookie season because I feel like they're going to throw him directly into the fire, so he's going to have a good amount of targets. But it comes back to what I'm saying is he's not going to fit what they need him to do. He's probably going to be a volume receiver, I feel like, in their offense. And they need somebody. They need, like, a legitimate outside threat. So, stat-wise, I actually think Jalen's going to have a pretty good rookie season. He's just not going to be in much of an impact because that's not what they need.
Yeah, he's going to be their production guy. And I compare him to, like, Terry McLaurin. Did anybody think Terry McLaurin was going to do great this year? No, but he's, like, their number 1 right now. And I think he's only their number 1 because they don't have anybody better to throw in there. I like Terry McLaurin. I believe he made a huge jump from the college to NFL level. I just don't think he's great. I think Jalen Reagor is probably going to have the same type of career where he's going to be on a team that doesn't have any wide receivers, so he's going to be praised as the number 1, and he's probably going to do some things that are going to make him look a lot better than he is. He's probably going to be, like you said, just targeted time and time again because they don't have anybody else.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I definitely agree with you on that.
And real quick, Kevin Cronin, what do you do after you download the 20 file on Community File? So he's talking about Madden 20. I've been kind of walking him through how to get, like a custom roster for like the 2020 rosters. What do you do after you download it? I think you have to go into settings and then basically select the roster as your main one.
Yeah, I believe you have to. Yeah, I believe you have to like activate it basically.
Yeah, I can't really show you right now because I'm not streaming Madden right now. But there's definitely a YouTube video out there that can help you, my guy. But it's very intuitive. The user interface for Madden. It should be fairly easy to figure out. Mizrahi says, hate to say it, but I have the Cowboys 11-5 division winner and are a Super Bowl contender this year. Listen, I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender, but I agree with the first part. And I think that's a pretty good segue into the Cowboys. What do you think, man?
I completely, listen. I know I'm in the minority here, and I agree with Ms. Rai as 100%. I'm the one that's coming out and saying, and this is gonna be coming up in a video soon. I'm gonna get crucified for it.
Make sure you guys go over to Kidblue and subscribe and wait for that video to crucify him for it.
Yeah. Make sure you guys do that. Ms. Rai, I completely agree, man. I think the Dallas Cowboys can go 11-5. I think their ceiling is 12-4. I don't think they're gonna go any higher than that. But what I'm looking at, their draft was fantastic.
Oh my God, the Cowboys draft. Jesus Christ, that's like an 8. I am so jealous of their draft, and we had a great draft too. The reason I'm jealous is because they're a rival and they got better, and they got so much better.
Exactly, and I'll tell you right now, I am loving the CeeDee Lamb pick more and more and more and more. When we went live together, when they drafted CeeDee Lamb, I was like, what the hell is this? This is terrible. I didn't look at the grand scheme of things. If you look at it, they needed safeties, they needed corners. Were there going to be any even Xavier McKinney? Were there going to be any safeties or corners that's going to make the impact that CeeDee Lamb is going to make? CeeDee Lamb is a number 1 receiver to me, and he's coming in as a number 3, potentially a number 2. He's not taking Amari Cooper's spot.
I think he's going to be a number 2 because I think they're going to put him above Michael Gallup.
Yeah, but listen, Michael Gallup had 1,100 receiving yards last year. You look at this wide receiving core for Dallas. They went from 0 to hero in 2 years. I do not know how the hell anybody's gonna stop Dallas from doing whatever the hell they want to do next year. I'm sorry,
bro. Dallas on
offense is a lot better. Yeah, Dak Prescott's a lot better than people give him credit for. I don't think he's better than Carson Wentz, but he's a damn good quarterback too. And you have to be a moron to not succeed in an offense that has Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb on the same offense, as well as an offensive line that allows you to manipulate the defensive line, and a running back like Ezekiel Elliott. Jesus, they just need an extremely good tight end. They have Blake Jarwin there; he's all right, but man, you have
they don't need it, bro. They don't need it. They just wanted to have that perfect set.
Exactly. I mean that Dallas Cowboys offense. Listen, the defense, you could argue needs some work, but for a win now team, they're doing the right things. Dontari Poe, Joe McCoy are veteran players that you don't need for a long time.
Yeah, they're gonna put both of them on a pitch count, which is gonna work out fine.
Right, exactly. You put those guys in the interior. Clinton Dix there as well. Jordan Lewis, if he works out, he was one of my favorite slot corners a couple drafts ago out of Michigan. If he plays well, he'll be great. Now their outside corners are a little bit of a question mark, but damn, man, their linebacking core is best in the league. I'm sorry.
No, I don't know about that, bro. Come on now.
Jalen Smith,
best
Sean
in the
Lee,
league,
and
bro.
Wait.
Compared to the Niners linebacking core and the Colts linebacking core.
Yeah, of course. They have the best starting 3 guys there.
Bro, I think the Colts have the best linebacking core in the league. Come on now.
The Colts have Darius Leonard and who else?
You got me there, but I can't think of them off the top of my head.
I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about. He's another like mid-round pick guy.
Yeah.
I believe they
I
have
can't
there,
think of them on top of my head, but they have a damn good linebacking core. The
49ers as well have a good linebacking core. Fred Warner and some guys, but these are guys that are tackle machines and stuff like that. You look at Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch. These guys are they're all pros in their position, and they're on the same freaking team. Sean Lee is getting older. I get that.
Sean Lee is still very effective.
Yeah, he's still very effective. In my opinion, that Dallas Cowboys linebacking core is best in the league. I don't know how people are overlooking them. Jalen Smith is an absolute animal. I would have killed to have a middle linebacker like him, and to add Leighton Vander Esch in there out of Boise State, who's from my Boise State Broncos, pisses me off even more. But
listen, I'm gonna ask you to stop right there, cause you begin to sound like a Cowboys fan. I'm sorry.
I don't know why. I don't know why I think so highly of the Cowboys this year. I am a Giants fan through and through. I'm not excited about the Cowboys. I'm just
I'm scared. Yo, I'm gonna keep it
acknowledging.
real with you. I'm low-key scared to go up against the Cowboys this year.
Dude, we should be. I honestly think we should be. I hate the Cowboys with every fiber of my being, but I don't see. Guys, I really don't see. Their losses are probably gonna come from coaching or Dak Prescott because I don't think he's a complete winner. But
All right. Let me get my two-piece in because you brought up a lot of stuff that I want to get into. I want to get into
go ahead.
I want to get into the Prescott and Wentz debate because this is something I actually had with OGR talking about would you rather have Dak Prescott or Carson Wentz. I want to get into that eventually. And then, getting back to the draft a little bit. But first things first, before I get into what I think of the Cowboys this year, I must say that I hate the Dallas Cowboys. What I'm about to say is not indicative of, that I'm a fan of their team. I just recognize that they have a pretty good roster. And I agree with basically everything Kidblue said except for, the whole Super Bowl contender thing. I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender because I do think the Dallas Cowboys, I think they have a tough schedule as well. I think there's a good enough teams in the NFC that are still better than them that they might not make it through the playoffs, but that's not the point right now. The Cowboys on offense alone, we're talking regular season here, right? Mm-hmm. Offense rules the regular season. Defense and coaching rules the playoffs. So we're talking regular season. We're talking winning the division. They got the best offense in the division and probably the NFC. You got a wide receiving core now that I'm actually terrified of. I wasn't scared of the wide receiving core last year, and you even brought up that Gallup had 1,100 yards as somebody that basically came out of nowhere. Like, Cowboys fans were talking about the Michael Gallup for a while, and I wasn't paying attention because I didn't think he was going to be any good. The reason Dallas's offense was so good last year, despite them going 8-8, was because, and I hate Dak Prescott, but it was because of Dak Prescott. This dude had like a quiet 4,900 yards, 30 touchdowns, 11 interception year. That's monster numbers, yo. If the Cowboys made it to the playoffs, he would have been in the MVP conversation. Dak had his best year by far last year, and I think he's going to have an even better year because he has CD now. He has 3 legitimate threats at wide receiver. The offensive line, they lost Travis Frederick to retirement, but they replaced him with a mini Travis Frederick and Tyler Biadasz that I wanted for the Giants so badly. The offensive line is still going to be bullying every defensive line in the league. It's still top 10. You still got Zeke running back there. I mean, you got Mike McCarthy, who I'm not sure how he's going to work out, but he's an offensive-minded head coach. So you already know the offense is going to produce even more. I mean, Jesus Christ, I think Dak is going to ball out even more next year because he's even more motivated to get that contract. He's like, I put up MVP numbers, I didn't get it. Well, now I'm going to put up MVP numbers and force us into the playoffs. Like, just on offense alone, Dallas is just scary.
Dallas is scary, man. You have to respect that team, man. And I hope the Giants respect them as much as we do. I'm telling you right now, when you go into war and you fight somebody else, say just a boxing match. You can just put it in the perspective of boxing. You have to do your research. You got to know the strengths and weaknesses. You have to respect their strengths as much as you acknowledge their weaknesses. As much as you try to, figure out, what part of, what position is a weakness for that team and what can you attack, right? You have to also do the same amount of research as what their strengths are. How can you get beat? How can they take advantage of you? You look at the Dallas Cowboys offense, man. There isn't a way they can't beat you. The rollouts with Dak Prescott, the in between the tackle runs with Ezekiel Elliott, and he could also bounce outside and catch the football. The offensive line remains stacked after all these years. Probably the biggest weakness is Connor Williams at left guard. Then you look at the tight end position, it's not great, but it gets things done. Blake Jarwin kills us every year for whatever reason. He's like another freaking Jason Witten for the Giants. And the wide receiving core. We don't even need to talk about that. But there's no way that offense can't beat you. You have to really focus on their defense because their defense isn't great, but it will.
Their defense is really good, man.
A lot of people are sleeping on that defense, man.
Defense is really good. We go back to the Aldon Smith, the Poe signing, the Gerald McCoy signing. They don't even need these guys to start, bro. Put them at rotational. Give them some pitch counts. That's their run stuffers right there, and they have a little bit of pass rush from the middle too. But that's primarily their run
Right.
stuffers. That's how they're gonna stop Saquon. You think that Dallas doesn't realize? Last year, week 1, Saquon ran for them, basically averaging 10 yards a carry. That's how they're gonna stop, or at least try to stop him. I don't know if it's gonna work. But that's them addressing Saquon Barkley, addressing Miles Sanders, addressing the stacked running back group of the Redskins that you talked about earlier. Dallas made smart moves this offseason. Now, they did lose Robert Quinn, and he had 11.5 sacks for them last year. I'm not sure who's going to replace that. Maybe they don't even need somebody to replace it, but you still got Bradley and Nye over there who could develop well alongside DeMarcus Lawrence. I don't know. Do they even need somebody to replace those 11.5 sacks?
Well, if Alden Smith gets back to his former self, I know he's been out of football for a long time.
Oh, and by the way,
if
it
he
just
gets-
came into my
if he
mind.
gets back on track-
They can get Randy Gregory back, can't they?
They can. They're trying to fight for that because I think Josh Gordon is also going for reinstatement as well, and the whole marijuana thing with the NFL, they're kind of being more lenient. So we'll see what happens. I think Randy Gregory can't stay off the weed either, so maybe he'll get reinstated as well. But yeah, if he comes back, that's also another guy that can make some plays.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Cowboys looking tough. They looking tough. Now, I'm gonna pray for the "How About Them Cowboys" song to come true and them to mess up because they find a way to do it. I agree with you.
Yeah.
If they don't make it to the playoffs, I'm putting it on Dak because their team is stacked. And what you said about you have to be a moron to not make it to the playoffs with this offense, that's why I said even if Dak doesn't start, Andy Dalton can take this team to the playoffs, and I fully believe that.
I believe it to an extent because Andy Dalton also has his recent injury issues as well. Andy Dalton is very underrated. I think he was just on a terrible and overlooked Cincinnati Bengals team. This is a team that constantly would get kicked out of the playoffs in the first round. Andy Dalton puts up numbers. Now, is he something defenses will fear? Probably not. But he's probably one of the better game managers in the league. So, also can make plays with the deep ball. You see that time and time again with A.J. Green. Like I said, you got to be a moron not to freaking produce with this wide receiving core and the running game that you have. If you're having a bad game throwing the ball, which I don't know how you would because these guys are going to be constantly open, just freaking give it to Ezekiel Elliott 30 times. He'll take it,
And AJ Marshall says, what up, AJ? Welcome into the stream. He says, Prescott is better than Wentz. Statistics explain it. Let's get into this real quick. I agree with him. I think Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Carson Wentz, and it comes down to Dak just being healthier and being more consistent than Wentz.
See, I agree that I would probably take Dak Prescott over Carson Wentz, but it has nothing to do with the talent.
I think talent Wentz goes with it hands down.
Yeah, hands down. Like if you told me for the rest of their careers they would start every single game for the rest of their careers, I'd say give me Carson Wentz all day. I mean, I'm not even thinking about it. The only reason why I would take Dak Prescott is because of his availability, who I think is better. I don't really care about statistics because Carson Wentz just does it all with a crappy team. And I think he's much more accurate with the football, and I think Carson Wentz has a more touch on the football and also has a better deep ball. Carson Wentz does it all, man. I love Carson Wentz, and it's hard for me to say that because he's an Eagles player, but I love Carson Wentz.
What up?
Prescott,
Oh, my bad. Just want to say real quick, what up to Cowboy X Factor? He says, hey there, Kidblue in the hub. You came in a little late, Cowboy. We literally just finished like a 20-minute segment just gushing over how good the Cowboys are. You're never going to get that again.
Yeah, you're probably never gonna hear that again. So, and matter of fact, I'm making Kush delete this process. so nobody hears about it again. But yeah, Cowboy X Factor. We just finished. We probably took like 20 minutes talking about how we need to respect the Cowboys and how good they're gonna be this season, how underrated they are, how
deadly their offense is gonna be, how effective their defense is gonna be. Ah, man, I don't want to talk more about it because I cannot, as a Giants fan, continue this heresy.
Yeah, this is definitely blasphemy what we're talking right now, but Thank God you guys still support us.
He says he can go back and rewind though. But getting back to the Prescott Wentz thing, I agree with you. If we're talking, if Wentz can stay healthy, I'll take him. Yeah, but that's where it comes down to me. For me, Prescott has just been the most healthy and consistent quarterback in the NFC East since he stepped into the role, and that's why I'll take him. And I know he's not Wentz. Like Wentz is way better than him when healthy, but he's good enough to lead any team, to a good enough, to like maybe like a 500 record. I do think that Prescott is a better quarterback for that reason.
Yeah, and one thing that Dak Prescott needs to, I know he's gotten better at this, but he definitely needs to step it up more if he wants to be considered an elite quarterback. He's got to take games into his hands in the final 2 minutes of the game. Don't rely on Ezekiel Elliott constantly. Don't rely on short passes to your wide receiver to move the chains. Use your athleticism, make some difficult throws. You look at back in the playoffs, and this is what differentiates Dak Prescott from, an elite quarterback. Remember the playoffs back in, I believe, 2016?
Well, he was a rookie then, so you got to give him a break then.
Right. No, right. I get that, but it's still an issue. The throw that Aaron Rodgers made to Jared Cook.
Oh, that was deadly.
Was absolutely insane. Will you ever see Dak Prescott take a chance and make that kind of throw?
No, he plays it way too safe.
Or even be that accurate? Yeah.
He plays it way too safe.
Accurate? No, he will never. Well, I wouldn't say he would never, but his character right now would never do that. And I don't think he's even that accurate to do that. That's the only problem why I would keep Dak Prescott out the top 10 talks. I think he's a great quarterback. I think he's very capable of winning Super Bowls, but. And very capable of being a top quarterback in the regular season. But if you're talking about as a whole, I don't think he belongs in the elite quarterback conversation yet.
Oh, no, I completely agree with you there. Everything you said. Not even one thing that I disagree with. And what's up to Giants Alliance? Another great YouTube channel. Go check him out. He says, hey, guys, which fans are more annoying, Cowboys or Eagles? I can deal. I want you to go on a rant, actually, if you have a rant in you. We haven't had a good Kidblue rant since the Jabril Peppers was traded to us. But my real quick 2 cents on that is I can deal with Cowboys fans. They're just delusional at times. Eagles fans are just straight up nasty.
I'm complete opposite with you, man. I can deal with Eagles fans because I grew up in Pennsylvania, so I know Eagles fans. I've endured it. And I've lived through it. A lot of them were Steelers fans, but Eagles fans I grew up around as well. Dallas Cowboys fans, I cannot stand. Now, we talked about earlier with the Philadelphia Eagles and how they would jump on the Carson Wentz bandwagon from one day to the next. That's pretty much their thing, and it's always been their thing, and it's just something I laugh at. But Dallas Cowboys fans get just under my skin, man. Because they're not a team that says, oh, this player sucks, this player sucks. They're the opposite. They think everybody is an amazing player and everybody should be highly respected. You should fear the Cowboys now. We should fear the Cowboys this year. But other years in their 8-8 seasons, I mean, the Dallas Cowboys are this, the Dallas Cowboys are that. Jason Garrett is the best coach ever. Dak Prescott is top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and all of this, and they were talking about Byron Jones for a while, and how Dak Prescott is gonna lead them to multiple Super Bowls in his rookie years. These are actual stuff that I've heard, man. It's ridiculous, and you look at their king, right? Skip Bayless, their king.
Yo, I straight up. I used to be amused by Skip Bayless. Now, anytime I'm just annoyed whenever I hear him speak, bro. It's like it's gotten old with him.
Right, exactly. It's getting under my skin, man. They constantly over and over again. Woo! Go Cowboys! Go Cowboys! How about them Cowboys? And then when January comes around and they're not part of the conversation, they're like, oh, we'll get them next year, And then they're the ones, early as can be. We're talking April or March. They're the ones coming out and saying, I think the Dallas Cowboys are number 1 in the NFC. I think they're the favorites to win, to go to the Super Bowl. I don't even think Philly fans do that, man.
No. Philly fans think the Eagles are going 19-0. What are you talking about?
Oh God! Listen, the cow. And listen, Cowboys X Factor. I like Cowboys X Factor. Okay, he's
Cowboy
awesome.
X
He's
Factor
awesome.
is like one of my best subscribers. Shout out to him.
Yeah, me too. So hashtag not all. Hashtag not all. But Dallas Cowboys fans, I cannot stand. I cannot stand them. And on top of that, the games that we play with them, like the Eagles fans, if they smoke us, like Eagles, if they smoke us, they smoke us.
Yeah.
But the Dallas Cowboys always give us heartbreak.
They always give us false hope.
Yeah, heartbreak. Oh my, Tony Romo. I love him now as an announcer, and I respect him more as a quarterback now that he's not wearing a Dallas Cowboy uniform. But Tony Romo used to be in my nightmares, man.
Jesus Christ.
What was that game back in 2014? I was like, oh my God, are the Giants about to win?
Well, that was the year. That was the year they went like 12-4, right? 2014.
Yeah, they went. Yeah, something like that. But I was like, oh my God, are the Dallas Cowboys are the Giants actually able to win Week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys? And then Jason Witten, 59 seconds to go in that game, the Giants were up, and Tony Romo and Jason Witten single-handedly moved down the field and scored.
Yo, Romo to Witten. I wouldn't say Romo was in my nightmares, but Romo to Witten was in my nightmares. It was just like a knife cutting through butter. It was crazy how they just knew to dissect the Giants' defense every single time they faced us. It was ridiculous.
Right, and Jason Witten is one of the slowest tight ends.
Jason Witten, I'm gonna say this right now,
and he still gets.
Oh my God, I'm gonna say this right now, right? I'm gonna get you know what, Cowboy X Factor, you might respect me less for this, but Jason Witten is the most overrated tight end in NFL history. The dude only has his numbers because he was basically force-fed by Romo. And I will say this, Witten is definitely, he's definitely effective, but he doesn't deserve that title of like a top 5 tight end. Like he's so slow, unathletic. The reason he has his numbers is because he's force-fed. He's not somebody that would break the game unless he's playing against the Giants.
And I think where he made his money is that teams would underestimate him, and he would always find a soft spot. Like he would always fake he was blocking. Like if you look at Jason Witten tight end, Jason Witten highlights, most of it is him faking that he's blocking, run 5 yards behind the defense and catch the ball and just run as fast as he could, and which is not very fast. Jason Witten was never a guy that's gonna, catch a one-hander on you or blaze anybody. Jason Witten was just really smart. Jason Witten knew how to manipulate a defense, which I think makes him great. I don't think he's one of the greatest tight ends of all time.
Jason Witten is a great tight end, but he's not one of the elites. I'll say that.
Exactly. He's not even close. He was a Giants killer. I will acknowledge that forever.
Oh, for sure.
But Witten is definitely overrated. I mean, I don't understand. I guess it was because the Dallas Cowboys always had great wide receivers there. They had Des Bryant for a long period of time. Now they have Amari Cooper, and you look at his wide receiver core now. He's not there anymore. But I mean, Jason Witten's not there anymore.
Isn't Witten on the Raiders now?
Yeah, he's on the Raiders. But the Dallas Cowboys have always had some decent wide receivers, so I guess the defenses would pay attention to that, and they would just completely forget about Jason Witten. And on top of that, they've always had a great running game. Yeah. So you take all of that into account, the tight end is kind of like the outlying factor that nobody is going to pay attention to, and that's how Jason Witten made his money. If you think, Jason Witten, if he was put on a team that had no running game and a terrible passing game from the wide receiver position, Jason Witten would not be as great as he is now, today. The Dallas Cowboys definitely, that scheme made him.
Yeah, and A.J. Marshall had a pretty interesting comment. He says he wasn't happy the Cowboys drafted CeeDee Lamb. They should have drafted Xavier McKinney, K'Lavon Chaisson, or Cesar Ruiz. The thing I would respond to that is you got to really look, and I'm guessing you might be a Cowboys fan, A.J. Marshall. You got to look at how CD really helps out the offense. And in terms of Cesar Ruiz, you guys got basically the next best thing after him with Tyler Biadasz. K'Lavon Chaisson, yeah, maybe, but me and Kidblue were discussing, do you guys even need somebody to replace the 11.5 sacks that's gone now with Robert Quinn? Like, I don't think the Cowboys need 2 sack masters on their defense. They have a dude that can get to the quarterback in DeMarcus Lawrence, but their defense might not even need to do that.
Right, exactly. And when they have Alden Smith there, and I think he will maybe he won't
Alden could
be as
probably
good
get them like
as in the
7 sacks or
past.
something, I say.
Exactly. I think that's all they really need. And on top of that, Jalen Smith and Van Der Esch can also rush from the inside linebacking position. So, I mean, you look at all of that. I don't think they need another top tier pass rusher. So,
Oh, my
yeah.
bad, AJ. He's a Giants fan. I'm sorry. Like the way the comment was phrased, kind of sounded like you were a Cowboys fan because you're like you weren't happy with what they did. All right. My bad there, AJ. I'm sorry. The hub is telling Kidblue to keep it quiet about Dallas. I'm guessing he just rewinded, man.
Oh yeah, Cowboys expert said he was going back.
Exactly. We got Giants Lions where you guys are talking about the unusual placement of Skip Bayless's microwave. Listen, I will say this. Did you see that tweet Skip made? It was a couple weeks ago where he was like dressed in all black and he looked like he was in a fighting stance or something. And the tweet was about
Yeah,
MJ.
he
I
was
don't
standing
know.
on top of something.
Yeah,
He was standing on top of something.
exactly.
Dude, this guy, he makes the most cringiest freaking pictures ever. Like, who? Oh, God. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. What microwave? What is this microwave situation?
I have no idea. Apparently, it's weirdly placed. Cowboy X Factor agrees with you that the Cowboys have the best linebacking core, better than the Colts. Maybe. I'm willing to concede, but we really got to move off of this because I'm slowly getting throat cancer talking so much good stuff about the Dallas Cowboys. Um, Thank you guys for sticking through with us. Mostly Giants fans in here. Now, this right here, the next topic is kind of general NFL based, but let's talk about just the NFL in 2020, right? What are you expecting? Give me a team that you think can surprise everybody, just sort of come out of nowhere, or maybe not necessarily come out of nowhere, but have been building up that people are not paying attention to. You think can make an impact in the NFL this year?
Man, he kind of hit me. Kind of hit me.
I kind of hit you with a tough one.
Yeah. He just hit me with a
I got you.
curveball, man.
I'll take mercy.
Yeah, you
Well,
start. You start first, and I'll think.
Okay. I was gonna say we could get back to it, but sure, I can start. I'll go with, and this is not a team that's necessarily coming out of nowhere, but one that's been slowly building up, in my opinion, is the Denver Broncos. I don't think they're gonna necessarily make the playoffs, but I think they're definitely gonna make it tough for other teams in the AFC West to make the playoffs. I think they're probably gonna. I really think the Denver Broncos could go 7-9, 8-8. Maybe if things break super right for them and they get lucky, they do sneak in as a 7th seed. But I like what the Broncos have been doing with Drew Lock over there. Now I still need to see a bit more from Drew Lock. Broncos fans obviously been hyping him up a lot, saying that he is definitely their franchise QB. I need to see a little bit more. Dude did perform good down the stretch, but I like what they did in terms of surrounding him with weapons. The Broncos' offensive line, it's good. You know what I'm saying? It's not terrible. It's not great, but it's good. I think it's good enough. They still got a good running game over there. They got Melvin Gordon over there now to pair up with Phillip Lindsay. Their defense, as always, is still, one of the best in the league, still top 10 in my opinion. And they just surrounded this dude, Drew Lock, with weapons. So I think the Broncos are probably going to surprise people next year in terms of the impact they can have on the AFC West.
Yeah, and I'll stay inside that division. I was going to go with the Arizona Cardinals, but I just don't see them making a playoff run with all the other three teams there. But you look at the AFC West, the Las Vegas Raiders. I really like where they're going with that team. In the past few drafts, the past 3 drafts, I'm like, what the hell are they doing? But it's working.
Right?
But it's working. I don't
Look at
I
last
don't
year's draft.
understand.
Last year's draft made
Exactly.
no sense.
Exactly. And you look at, they drafted Cleveland Farrell 4th overall. We'll see what happens with him. They're getting more production out of their late round pick. I forgot his name. Max Crosby.
Yeah.
They're getting more production out of him than Cleveland Farrell. But still, Las Vegas is really, really making strides, man. They drafted Henry Ruggs to pair along with Tyrell Williams. Their offensive line is great. Derek Carr is another year under the same offense, so he should be a lot better. And I think Derek Carr is very underrated as well.
Do you think he's gonna stay? Do you think he's gonna stay the star throughout the year though?
Yes, I don't think they have another. The Raiders have a bunch of backup quarterbacks.
They got Mariota back there.
Yeah, their names, but I don't think anybody's threatening to say, hey, this is, this is gonna be the replacement for Derek Carr. We're gonna trade Derek Carr. I think we have a better shot with Marcus Mariota, or we have a better shot with Nathan Peterman, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's gonna happen. But you look at the offense for the Raiders. It's extremely underrated. Now, why on earth is Jason Witten now their starting tight end? I don't know. Oh no, well Darren Waller is.
That's
But
one
Jason Witten
thing.
is also there as well.
That's one thing completely off topic, but just popped into my mind. I have no idea what the Bears are doing. They just got tight ends all over the place.
Oh yeah,
The Bears are like
the Bears are garbage, man. But but yeah, the Raiders are definitely my underrated team. A team that's really gonna make some noise this year that nobody's looking at.
the AFC West is going to be super tough this year. Obviously, you got the defending champs in the Chiefs. You got the Raiders, who are definitely on the come up for a couple of years now. Broncos, who I think are going to start their rise this year. And then, well, the Chargers are really the outliers, but maybe if Justin Herbert has a really good rookie year, they do something because they have a stacked roster as it's been stacked since, like, what, for the past 3-4 years now. AFC West is looking tough. And we got a question from John Doe 230. He says, "Who thinks Andrew Thomas day one makes our guard play better?" I do.
Oh, for sure. For sure. The fact that the guard doesn't have to help out constantly chipping players on the outside and focus on his assignment, for sure, man. Andrew Thomas, I think, is going to be a great tackle right out the gate. I don't think he's going to have much growing pains.
Yeah, Andrew Thomas, and I've said this, and I want to know what you think, KB. I really think the Giants should just skip over the whole start him at right tackle thing and just put him directly at left tackle day one. Was the most prepared tackle in the class to start day one at left tackle, so why not put him there? He's going to get there eventually. If you put him at right tackle, it's only going to be for 1 year. Just put him there with Will Hernandez now to build up that good rapport, for them to build up their chemistry. Nate Solder is a dude that's going to be off the team in 1 year. Let him be the one to, I don't know, make the adjustment. I mean, he's going to be the one that's leaving. He's the one that we're paying mad money to, like, let him use that to good use. And I've been a Nate Solder defender, saying, he had the family issues, he's had the surgery, there's a lot of stuff that he had to recover from. Let him take the challenge of starting at right tackle, which shouldn't be a challenge for what he's being paid, and him being a average left tackle at best, right? It should not be a challenge for him to be an average right tackle. Let Andrew Thomas start at the left side.
Well, I've talked about this on many occasions, on many streams and videos. I would, in a perfect world, I would definitely love to have Andrew Thomas at left tackle. The reason why I don't see it happening is because, first of all, there's no way on earth Nate Solder is going to just move aside easily for a rookie left tackle that everybody says can do his job better. There's definitely that pride factor in there. He's not going to want to move. And on top of that, he's get paid about $18 million this year. Money definitely talks. As far as his agent goes as well, you could be talking about a holdout. You could be talking about a demand of release, and then we would have to pay that dead money to him, and then we would be forced to start Matt Peart. And when you look at that situation, I don't think Nate Solder is going to be on the right side. I'm sure he wouldn't want to be on the right side. He's a seasoned veteran at the left tackle position, and he's getting paid as such to be a left tackle. The reason why I'm so comfortable with having Andrew Thomas at right tackle is because of what he did collegiately, and I think people are overlooking this. I think the reason why the Giants really got Andrew Thomas, I think he was the best tackle in that draft as far as consistency and his ceiling goes. With Andrew Thomas, I feel like they drafted him because it fits his collegiate career. Really fits what the Giants need. They need a guy that's going to play right tackle for 1 year or maybe a half a year to then transition to left tackle, which is exactly what he did in his collegiate career. Won awards, say like second team, all conference, all SEC at the right tackle position, and then moved to left tackle and didn't skip a beat. So I feel like I don't mind Andrew Thomas. I know a lot of people are very concerned about that. But I do not mind Andrew Thomas at right tackle for a half a season or even a season. If Nate Solder is on some very thin ice. Okay, Nate Solder is going to be replaced. I think people need to be more patient with that. I think Nate Solder is going to be replaced. Everybody's going to get what they want at the end of the day, whether it happens sooner or later. Maybe it happens day one. Maybe Nate Solder struggles in training camp. They say, you know what, get this guy out of here, cut him, we'll cut our losses, we'll take the dead money. But I don't know if they're going to do that, and I don't think Nate Solder is just going to move aside for a rookie tackle that says that he could play his position better.
Well,
I think I think he's definitely going to want to compete.
well, the one thing I do definitely agree with is that Thomas will be a beast on the right side. He would be a beast right side, left side. I think put him at the right side, we're gonna have one of the best right tackles in the league. That's how much I believe
Yeah.
in Andrew Thomas. The one thing I don't necessarily agree with is that Solder, like, there's definitely a pride factor to it. You're right there, but I don't think he's gonna like make that big a deal of it if they ask him to move to the right side. He's been on record saying several occasions he's willing to do whatever the Giants want him to do. When interviewers have straight up asked him, or would you move to the right side if asked to, and he said, yeah, I'll do whatever it takes to help the team perform better. So I don't know, maybe I think Solder would, yeah, he wouldn't be happy to, but I think he would move to the right side if asked to.
Right. I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't know. Adding to what you said about him saying he'll do whatever. A lot of players say that you really got to take that with a grain of salt. But
Eric Flowers said that the year we moved him.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully we'll see. He does move, and we'll see what happens.
Exactly. So now I'm gonna hit you with an easier question about the general NFL. And by the way, guys, send in your questions. As you can see, we are taking them and answering them if you got any. But general NFL 1, man, who's your sleeper MVP pick?
Who's my sleeper MVP pick?
Yeah.
Ooh,
And
sleeper.
while you think about that, John Doe said Gettleman said in an interview Thomas had more value because he's a left tackle. I think Gettleman and Judge want him there. The Bulldogs left Thomas on an island a lot, and he excelled. Well, I agree with you. Both me and Kidblue, Andrew Thomas, we recognize as the best tackle coming out of that class. I really do believe Gettleman drafted him to be a left tackle, but it could very well be what Kidblue said. It could very well be that he drafted him to be a left tackle starting next year. I think it could be starting this year, but I agree with what you say there, John Doe.
Yeah, and you want to know who's a sleeper MVP pick, man?
Yeah.
You want to know who's a sleeper MVP
If you're going to say Dak
pick?
Prescott, I'm going to end the stream.
Saquon freaking Barkley, man. Saquon freaking Barkley is going to be a sleeper MVP candidate, man. You look at that offensive line. If it turns out the way it should, and it moves ahead of its raw development, like if it winds up if the offensive line winds up improving a lot faster than the process should, then Saquon Barkley is going to absolutely ball out this year. Daniel Jones, they're actually having a threat at quarterback that can move outside the pocket, helps Saquon Barkley in so many different ways. Saquon Barkley is going to be able to do whatever he wants with Jason Garrett, and I always say this, man, Jason Garrett is the best pickup the Giants picked up this season. The best addition to the Giants was Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett's going to focus 100% of his attention on Saquon Barkley and running the football, not like Pat Shurmur.
Here's
Saquon
the thing,
Barkley
Kidblue.
is the sleeper MVP pick.
Did you watch my video that I made maybe a week ago, literally titled Saquon Barkley will be the 2020 MVP?
No, I did not.
I'm gonna ask you to check that out when the stream is over and maybe leave a comment. Because well, I can't.
Did I reiterate everything you said?
This man basically regurgitated everything I said. I can't. I'm gonna try and come up with a different one for the sake of
Dude, if you second that, then second it, man.
I completely second it.
The
thing is though, right? I completely second it. The thing is, I don't even think he's a sleeper. Yeah, people maybe people are not noticing him now.
I think he's a sleeper just because of his position. I think everybody just assumes it's going to be a quarterback. I think he's a sleeper just because of his position.
100%, I agree with you there. But the reason I don't in terms of why I don't think he's a sleeper is because of exactly what you said. Mans is finally behind what at the very least is going to be an average offensive line. I'm a big believer in the Giants' offensive line this season. With what we did in free agency with picking up that swing tackle Cam Fleming, he's going to help these guys out a lot with adjusting to Mark Colombo and Jason Garrett's offense. He's going to help Matt Pert and even Andrew Thomas learn quicker. I'm a big believer in our two future tackles, in our center, in everything, man. I'm a big believer in the offensive line. Saquon has never had an average offensive line. This is an offensive line that is at the very least average. And I've been on record saying I think the offense could be top 10 in the league. They can be top 10 in the league fueled by Saquon's running. Like Zeke Elliott, the past 3 years, with the exception of 2017, because he was suspended for like 6 or 8 games, I can't remember, has gotten at least 300 carries every season. Saquon has not sniffed 300 carries in the NFL yet. His rookie year, he had 260. Last year, he had like just around 200, of course, because he was injured, and Pat Shurmur doesn't know how to use running backs. If Saquon gets at least 300 carries this year, man's getting at least 1,500 rushing yards behind that good old line. I firmly believe he could get 2,000 rushing yards if he like plays out of his mind. I think his base, if the O-line clicks, I think his base is 1,500 rushing yards. If he plays out of his mind, he's getting 2,000 rushing yards, and that's not even considering the receiving yards yet. If he somehow gets to 3,000 scrimmage yards, dude is the MVP.
Well, I think if he gets to 3,000 scrimmage yards, he'll have the best season a running back has ever had in NFL history. I don't think anybody's ever reached 3,000 scrimmage yards, which I would say if he has a 2,000-yard season, I would say he gets like 500 receiving yards. I know he's had more receiving yards in the past. Only thing is that I think they wouldn't use him as much in the receiving game if he's running for 2,000 yards. But, dude, I'm telling you right now, if he goes off and has a 2,000-yard season with at least just 400, 500 receiving yards, man, he's MVP. There's no doubt about it. And if Saquon Barkley rushes for that amount and it's that much of an impact, I think the Giants make the playoffs. There's no way. Like, I understand
There's
the
no
whole
way
Christian
we waste
McCaffrey
that
argument.
There's no way we waste that.
Yeah, I understand the Christian McCaffrey argument. It's just that Christian McCaffrey and that Panthers offense have nothing around them. They have a terrible offensive line. Their quarterback is, they had a quarterback carousel last year, and their wide receiving core is not great. Their defense is not great. The Giants are completely different. They have their quarterback. They have what we think is an offensive line. They have decent wide receivers, and they have Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon Barkley would lead this team to the playoffs with Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is a huge contributor in that. And
but Saquon is going to be the one doing the leading.
Exactly. Saquon is going to lead. And that's not disrespecting Daniel Jones whatsoever.
No, that's just recognizing
just
Saquon.
Like the Dallas Cowboys. Just like the Dallas Cowboys. Ezekiel Elliott is the one leading that team, not Dak Prescott.
And I agree. You know what? Maybe I was a little bit overzealous. I think a very realistic, I will say this, I do think a very realistic stat line for Saquon is something like 1,800 rushing yards with 600 to 700 receiving yards. And that's like 2,500 scrimmage yards. That's incredible.
Insane.
And you know what? It would be very NFL like if they don't give him the award, even if he gets those stats, just because they want to give it to a QB.
Right.
Because let's look last year, right? Lamar Jackson had a great season. I will say, definitely a great season, MVP caliber season. I think maybe they should have looked at Christian McCaffrey a bit more. I'm not saying Christian McCaffrey should have won it, but the dude didn't even finish in top 5 in voting, which I thought was completely disrespectful of what he did that season. Then you look at it was either 2017 or 2018 when Todd Gurley basically had at the time the greatest running back season in since Adrian Peterson. It was either 2017, 2016. If it was 2017, what was it? Brady won the MVP. I think Gurley should have definitely gotten it, but if it was 2018, I completely understand giving it to Patrick Mahomes. It's just like the NFL doesn't like giving the award to running backs.
They don't like giving the award to anyone that's not a quarterback, man. It sucks because, you have like the player of the year and stuff like that, like the offensive player of the year. That also goes to freaking quarterbacks as well. Now it has went to running backs. I think Christian McCaffrey won it this year. Correct me if I'm wrong. If he got offensive player of the year, but
I think he did get it.
Yeah. As far as MVP goes, what about even defensive players? Like defensive players aren't even in the conversation.
Yeah.
Like, and I get the whole position of importance thing. Like a cornerback isn't very much valuable as a quarterback would be.
But here would be my thing to that. If the cornerback wins the MVP, then that means they were very important to their team.
Exactly. Right.
And Kevin Cronin, we already said it before, bro. I can't show you right now, but literally just go into settings after you download it. Go to manage rosters or manage download files or something. And then you just got to activate the roster. I can't really show it to you right now. John Doe coming in with some pretty good comments here. He said he was higher on Thomas than Chase Young. I thought his position was more valuable. We were just talking about positional value. That's my most anticipated matchup of the year. Thomas should help Barkley open holes. I will say this. And I've been said it throughout the stream now. I'm a big believer in Andrew Thomas. I still think it's going to take a while for him to adjust to NFL level play, but going up against Chase Young, I think that's going to be a pretty even matchup.
Oh my God, I cannot wait for that matchup, and I hope to God Chase Young lines up on his side, on Andrew Thomas' side, whether he's on the right or the left. I hope that they line up together to see how that matchup is going to go, man.
Bro, if Chase Young lines up on the opposite side of Thomas, he's getting to Daniel Jones. I have no faith in Nate Solder stopping somebody like Chase Young.
Exactly. And on top of that, you look at what Andrew Thomas has done to other pass rushers in the collegiate level. Chase Young is basically a collegiate level edge rusher because he hasn't had NFL experience yet. So it's going to be awesome to see that matchup, man.
And you
just
got,
like college.
You got to think about the fact that Thomas was protecting Jake Fromm, who had no type of mobility, and he didn't let up a sack in the past 2 years or something like that, or the past year. Daniel Jones has some mobility, so I really do. I do expect, and I am putting a certain amount of responsibility on Thomas's head for certain matchups, like against fellow rookies like Chase Young, to be dominant.
Yeah.
And John Doe says Thomas's most underrated quality is he is amazing at getting to the second level, making multiple blocks. That is true. People say that Thomas is a better pass blocker than run blocker. I think he's a better run blocker because he can get to the second level and help out the running back even more.
Well, I think he's a better pass blocker from what I've seen on film. I think he's the best pass blocker to come out since Larry Tunsil, and I thought Larry Tunsil was fantastic. Listen, it's such a compliment to not know what he does better because he does both.
So good.
So great, man. Andrew Thomas can get to the second level on the run, and he also does it. It's like glue, man. If he grabs onto you, from pass blocking, he's not letting go. You're not getting past him. He could handle speed rushers, which seem to be a problem nowadays with tackles, man. I watch a lot of tackles, and I'm like, damn, he can't handle speed rushers. Andrew Thomas can handle speed rushers. He knows how to move his feet. He knows how to get, how to slide back and forth. Andrew Thomas can handle, can handle bull rushers as well. He has the strength to handle that as well. And I love Andrew Thomas's pass game. I think he's a better pass blocker than run blocker, but it could be debated. And I think either way, you're getting yourself a fantastic tackle that can do both very well.
I completely agree with you. The fact that we're out here debating which one he's better at just shows how much of a great player this dude is coming into the NFL. The fact that nobody can decide, oh my God, is he better at pass blocking? Is he better at run blocking? And the parallel to him, you saying that his hands are like glue in pass blocking, he holds on to, he doesn't let go. In run blocking, his hands are like bulldozers. If he gets his hands on you, you're going wherever he pushes you to go, which is usually away from the running back. Kevin Cronin, yes, I could show it to you next week. But since we're on talking rookies, and I still got the NFL banner up, the general NFL banner up, what's the NFL rookie that you're looking forward to? Let's go outside the NFC East. You're looking forward to have a good season. It could be somebody that like a lot of people are looking forward to, but what's somebody in general that you're excited to see play?
Man, that's a really good question. Someone I'm excited to see play
outside the NFC East.
Well, I'll pull up the first round of the draft right now, but I don't have anybody at the top of my head. But
for sure, go ahead.
First round draft.
Meanwhile, I will say the guy that I am most excited to see, it's a tie for me. I really am excited to see how K'Lavon Chaisson performs down in Jacksonville because they got one of the best young duo of pass rushers with Josh Allen from last year and K'Lavon from this year. Two similar players, with K'Lavon being more of a speedy guy. I think Allen is a bit stronger, but that is going to be something really interesting to see because Josh Allen also had one of the best rookie pass rushing seasons last year. Some people even said he was better than Bosa with getting to the quarterback. That's how good he was. So I'm excited to see how K'Lavon plays alongside him because they're going to get rid of Yannick somehow, and that honestly, getting rid of Yannick isn't even a problem now because you got two really good young pass rushers there in Jacksonville.
Exactly. I think they were preparing for that, and especially with K'Lavon Chaisson because you see the success that Josh Allen had last year, and a lot of people were saying because, including myself, that he wasn't going to do very well because of the scheme fit. But they found a way to do it, and now they're getting another guy who's just like Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's insanely scary to think about. Two smaller but very fast and shifty edge rushers on a 4-3 defense is very, very risky. But if it works, it works. Now, I'm going to move on to my rookie that I'm really excited about, and that's Isaiah Simmons
With the Cardinals.
with the Cardinals, because the reason why I'm so intrigued about this is because I was a huge Hassan Reddick fan in the 2017 draft, where he was drafted, I believe, 11th overall or like 13th or something like
Yeah.
that, to the Arizona Cardinals, and he was exactly what they wanted. What Isaiah Simmons is now. He's what they, he is who Isaiah Simmons was. No, Isaiah Simmons is who Hassan Reddick was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
He was a guy that was supposed to rush from the edge, play a little cornerback, play a little safety, play a little inside linebacker. He was supposed to be a Mr. Do-It-All, but he never really worked out. As far as I know right now, he got released by the Arizona Cardinals.
And real quick, this is a real quick question, but it's going to relate to what you say, right? So I didn't really start looking at the NFL draft seriously until the 2018 draft with Saquon. So how highly regarded was Hassan Reddick in 2017? Was it the same level of Isaiah Simmons, or was it like a lot less?
See, it wasn't that far less. As far as what I seen on film, I was in love with Hassan Reddick almost just as much as I was in love with Isaiah Simmons. It's just that Hassan Reddick was from Temple, so he wasn't gonna get he wasn't getting a lot of traction,
Mm-hmm.
and he definitely didn't do a lot of things that Isaiah Simmons can do. Like Hassan Reddick really was a cornerback when he was playing with Temple, but he started to get taller. He was gaining weight. And so they would decide to move him out to edge rusher, and he was playing fantastic there at edge rusher. So he had the cover skills of a corner, but had the rushing skills and the height and speed, and the height and weight and strength of an edge rusher. And so he was great, man. He was great, but his skill set was a little bit more limited than Isaiah Simmons. With Isaiah Simmons, you could pretty much put him anywhere. But Hassan Reddick in the NFL was pretty much going to be limited to a guy that's his only cover skills is really probably going to be, guarding a tight end. And he was really going to rush the passer more than anything. Isaiah Simmons, you could throw anywhere. So I'm really excited to see Isaiah Simmons because he is what the Arizona Cardinals were looking for in Hassan Reddick. And I'm very interested to see what they're going to do with Isaiah Simmons because I don't think in the NFL, Swiss Army knives really.
They haven't worked out yet. I don't think it's worked out yet, but it's definitely getting to the point where it could.
Right, because you look at the NFL, Tyrann Mathieu is a guy that you throw in the safety and corner area. He's a guy, and he also plays like box safety, linebacker, stuff like that. He's one of the guys that worked out like that. You look at Jabril Peppers, who's on our team.
Mm-hmm.
He was used absolutely everywhere on that defense, linebacker, safety, corner, everything.
And hopefully McKinney can do that.
Right, exactly. And but he's played mostly strong safety for us in the NFL. So when it comes to these Swiss Army knives, these Swiss Army knives in college are really just playing one position in the NFL. So I'm very interested to see what they're going to do with Isaiah Simmons.
And John Doe says, and he's talking about Andrew Thomas there, he says he's literally elite at both. That's why I was higher on him. His punch is the only thing that can use a little work. Chase Young is 265. Thomas is 315. Young gonna get thrown. Thomas' technique is amazing. Man, do I hope. If Andrew Thomas, when we play the Washington Redskins, the first game we play Washington, if Chase Young lines up against him and I see Thomas just throw this dude, I will be like busting out bottles of champagne, bro.
Oh man, if he throws it like he threw Josh Allen, life is good. Man.
And that's one thing. You know what? You tell the people, Kidblue, how does dude manhandle Josh Allen last year?
I hope you guys saw my video, man. I put it in my video of Andrew Thomas taking Josh Allen with one arm, slapping him 5 yards back out of the camera.
Bro, the Thanos slap, bro. Not the Thanos snap, right the now, Thanos slap.
Andrew Thomas couldn't even believe what he did. And he also did the same thing to Julian Okwara, who was just drafted in the third round.
Yeah.
To the Detroit Lions. He did the same exact thing. He threw him, and he handled Caleb on Chase on. Didn't throw Caleb on, but he definitely handled him.
The one-handed slap, bro. Andrew Thomas be like, all right, man. After he made that play, dude probably looked at his hand like, what power do I have in this thing, yo?
I don't know my own power.
Bradley, what's up, man? Welcome. And he says, Hub, I don't know who to watch. Tana is live right now. Shake my head. I know Tana is live. And by the way, I'm thankful for the viewers that are in here. Me and Kidblue, we're both aware that Tana is live. I just want to still do it on Tuesday so we could kind of establish the show on Tuesday, the new Young Gun show that we're running. Bro, watch whoever you want. If you stick with me, thank you. We've had a lot of fun doing the stream so far.
Yeah, definitely. And those of you guys are sticking around and watching in here. I know we have a small group, but we're definitely more connected here. So yeah, I appreciate everybody in here, man.
Kevin Cronin, good night to you too, man. Hope you have a good one. John Doe says it was one hand off balance. Allen looks shocked. Man, if I was Josh Allen, I would be shocked too. Man's is off balance and he manhandled me with one hand. Come on now.
I'll tell you right now, one of the huge pros I got from Josh Allen is his balance, is he's able to bend very nicely, and his footwork as well, and his low center of gravity. And the fact that Andrew Thomas was able to do that and throw the guy out of camera frame is insane.
And people always talk about Mekhi Becton. And Bradley says, "What up, Kidblue?" He just watched Hannah, so he'll watch us now. Thank you, my guy. So the thing about what was I saying? Yeah, people were saying Mekhi Becton throws people around. I don't think people realize that Andrew Thomas does have quite a bit of strength to him as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think people mistake that because he doesn't have the insane highlights that Mekhi Becton has. I think Mekhi Becton is very overrated.
Well, I completely agree. And I said that that I think our dude and Matt Pert can be better than Mekhi Becton maybe 3 years down the line or something.
Yeah, I completely agree. And if you look at the Giants knew what they were doing when they drafted these guys, because I'll tell you right now, me and Kush were huge fans of Matt Peart and Andrew Thomas. I mean, we were huge fans of them. We were preaching on both those tackles.
We just never thought that we would get both of them. We thought it was going to be one or the other.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be one or the other. I thought I thought Matt Peart was going to be the guy if we don't get a tackle in the first round or second round. But you look at those two tackles, the Giants knew what they were doing because they got the two tackles with the longest arms in the draft. A lot of people may say that's not a big deal. That's a huge deal as far as distance from you to the quarterback, distance from the edge rusher to getting to the inside the offensive line. When you're able to get that push and keep that edge rusher away with those long arms and have more of a reach. And to grab onto these edge rushers, it makes a huge difference.
And it helps out a lot with the one thing you brought up. You said that nowadays NFL tackles have a lot of trouble with speed rushers. If you don't have good foot technique and foot quickness, which Thomas does have, Pert needs to work on a little. You substitute that with just long ass arms.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
Exactly, and then we got Bradley saying Andrew Thomas equals Thanos. I agree, man. Once again, this man, I just need to see him do it once. Just once. Just throw Chase Young just not even 5 yards back like he did with Josh Allen. Just throw the dude 1 yard back. A noticeable throw, and I'll be happy. John Doe says Becton has a huge flaw. His 3-cone drill is really bad. Lateral quickness isn't good. Pert said Thomas is considered his brother. Let's see what the Colombo is really made of as a coach. So on the first thing, I agree. All Mekhi Becton has to his name is his size. And the reason I never liked him is because I don't like players that only have size to their name, especially O-linemen. The thing I want in an O-lineman more than anything is technique. And you could get your size after. You could get in the gym and your strength and conditioning coach and build that up after. But I want you to have good technique coming into the NFL.
Exactly, and I compare that to teams that only draft wide receivers based on speed. You look at Henry Ruggs drafted before any other wide receiver. I think that was a huge mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Henry Ruggs is probably going to be successful in the league, but not as successful as CeeDee Lamb is going to be. I think the Raiders could have benefited more from that. So as far as teams just gushing over certain traits, say the offensive tackle position, that how they gush over size and weight, maybe even athleticism too, like Tristan Wirfs.
Mm-hmm.
But the same mistake people make about wide receivers. The fast wide receivers, they just focus on the 40 time. You look at John Ross, what has he done in the NFL? And then you look at Henry Ruggs, we'll see what he does. Ted Ginn a couple years ago, he was a first round pick, and although he's still in the NFL,
Ted Ginn
has
at
he
best
really,
is just a rotational player.
Exactly. So the same thing with the offensive tackle position. You can't just draft based on size and athleticism. You really got to draft based on technique as well. And Andrew Thomas possesses all those things: size, athleticism, technique, strength, everything.
And he talked about Perch saying Thomas is considered his brother. Listen, Colombo, in my opinion, has already proved himself as an offensive line coach in the league. John, I think we know at this point what Colombo is made of. In terms of switching over to talking about Perth, I think Matt Peart is probably going to take a year or two before he gets to where his ceiling is. Dude has insane potential, but he has a lot of work to be done to him. He is a project tackle. We need to remember that. But if there's anybody that can develop him, and if there's a better tackle to work with and grow with, it's going to be working with Andrew Thomas and being taught by Mark Colombo.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I may be in a minority on this as well. I think Matt Peart can start day one, can get away with starting day one. Not saying that he's going to be great out the gate, but I think he will be better than a lot of people wanted Nick Gates. I think day one, Matt Peart would be better than Nick Gates. Would be better than a Mike Remmers would have been. I think that he will be better. Can he benefit from sitting on the bench and developing? Absolutely. But I think people should start realizing that Matt Peart can play day one. It's just not recommended.
I completely agree with you. And you were talking about you got in love a while back earlier in the stream with the hometown kid thing back in the day with Haskins. Matt Peart, a lot of people don't notice, he is technically a hometown kid to NYC.
Yeah.
He lived here for a while. And you know how I knew this guy was a real New Yorker? Kidblue, I'm not sure how long you've been away from New York, because at one point you did live here. The dude started talking about chopped cheeses and delis, and I was like, oh, this dude is from New York. For those of you who don't know, the deli is basically a place you go to get a sandwich in New York. It's like a corner store, and the chopped cheese is like the sandwich of New York. Like the Philly cheesesteak of Philly. New York got chopped cheese and bacon, egg, and cheese. And as soon as Matt Peart mentioned that, I was like, oh, this dude is it.
Yeah.
We got but John though says he don't think Matt Peart is that much of a project either, and we got our left tackle and right tackle of the future from Bradley. We agree, man. We agree. AJ Marshall with a pretty good question. Do you think Cam Fleming has a good chance to win the starting right tackle spot? He doesn't want Nate Solder to start. No, I'll be honest with you, because it's either going to be Thomas or Solder there at right tackle, and if it's Thomas, there's absolutely no chance. If it's Solder, there's a better chance. But I do think it would end up being Solder if it comes to that. What do you think about that?
Rephrase that question real quick.
He says, do you think Cam Fleming has a good chance to win the starting right tackle spot? He doesn't want Nate Solder to start.
Oh, that's a hell no for me, dog, man. I
don't think so.
I don't think so at all. And I honestly think, and I know people hate Nate Solder, but I honestly think he's a better option at right tackle than Cam Fleming would be. So.
Nate Solder, listen, man. I think people do need to realize this. Dude was actually like average. Like, listen, we paid him to be better than average, and he looked terrible last year. But Nate Solder at his best for the Giants is an average left tackle. And I think anybody that's an average left tackle has the potential to be a good right tackle. So I'll say that.
And on top of that, you're really not benefiting with starting Cam Fleming and sitting an $18 million left tackle.
Yeah, that's just kind of that's not a smart move.
So if you paid him, you gotta use him.
Exactly. So, and now we're gonna switch off from the general NFL. I mean, we already kind of did since we got into the Giants. So this right here, right? The New Jersey governor opened up New Jersey to basically have their sports, start practicing again and whatnot. I think it was like last week. I said last week that I think the Giants are probably gonna open up their facilities this week. So far, it hasn't happened. This is just a speculation question, to be honest with you. When do you think the Giants are going to start opening up their facilities and get the offseason programs running?
I have no clue. I think you said New Jersey has
New Jersey,
it now?
Yeah, New Jersey is actually, they're allowing teams and the NFL to start opening up their stuff again to get to practice.
Well, I've been hearing that a lot of teams are moving their facilities, maybe when the Giants figure out where they want to move to. I don't know if they're going to be in the Meadowlands at the Quest Diagnostics Training Center. I don't know if they're going to stay there or if they're going to move, but there are a lot of NFL teams that are moving their typical locations. So I would think whenever the Giants figure out where they're going to go, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't start immediately because I mean by this time we should be in the OTAs.
Yeah. And what's up to Loud Superset 365? He says, "What's up, guys? Was good." I'll get to Bradley's and John Doe's question in a second. I will say, last week when I thought, last week I was in the mindset we're opening up this week. The protesting and stuff, what's going on currently in the nation has definitely, I think, affected, the Giants saying, all right, we're probably gonna hold it off a little bit more also.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely a good point there as well.
But if they do move, where do you think they're going? The only place I could see the Giants going is probably back to their old facility, which was like somewhere in Albany or something.
I think it was in Albany, upstate New York. I think that's where they would go, definitely.
Exactly. So the question that Bradley asked, we actually answered that before. You guys think Thomas will start on the left or right side? I say left. Kidblue says right. And John Doe says, who else is high on Donnie Holmes, especially at nickel? Sub to NYG31. Welcome into the stream. I am pretty high on Donnie Holmes. I haven't talked to Kidblue about Holmes basically since the draft, but the more and more I read about this kid and the more and more I look at him, I am really am excited about Holmes. I actually think he has a good chance of taking the slot corner job from Julian Love if they shift Love over there.
Yeah, one thing I've really loved about the draft was Donnie Holmes, and I've said this, my initial reaction, I didn't like the pick because I wanted to go, get Tyler Biadasz. But I think he was chosen already, right?
He was either in the fourth or the fifth.
I think I wanted Nick Harris or something like that. I wanted a center. I just wanted another offensive lineman. But as far as Donnie Holmes goes, when I looked this guy on film and he has the potential, I think somebody told me that he was hurt in 2019 to look at 2018.
Yeah, exactly. I had the same thing, bro. They were like, look at his 2018 tape because he was hampered in 2019.
Right. So my biggest gripe on him was his footwork, and he wasn't able to burst and break on routes and things like that. Maybe that's because of the 2019 film, but you look at the combine, he was just fantastic at all. He aced the combine. He got praise from Deion Sanders himself. He had a bunch of praise from everybody. Michael Robinson of NFL Network as well. And I think Bucky Brooks even called him the best slot corner in the NFL draft. And he hasn't even played slot corner yet because he was an outside guy.
Yeah, and Deion Sanders said, you were talking about Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders said years from now he might be the best cornerback to come out of this draft.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely hope so. And one thing, a constant that that you would see with the Giants drafting, they're always getting guys that have potential to be the best at their positions, man. No matter where they draft from, they're not even, was cornerback a huge need to go get a slot corner, a huge need to get in the fourth round? Probably not, but they still got one of the guys that could potentially be the best corner in the draft. You drafted Matt Parrott, who could potentially be one of the better offensive tackles in the draft. Andrew Thomas as well. Like, they keep just getting these guys that have huge ceilings. I mean, just the highest ceilings at every single position of where they're drafting at. They could draft in the fifth round and get a Darius Slayton out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so it's pretty interesting that you bring it up, Kidblue, because that's exactly what Joe Judge said. He's like, we're looking to see what these players can do in the future. Not what they can do right now. They're drafting based on what they think these guys can do in the future. So that's actually that's a really good point that you bring up there.
Yeah, I love what the Giants are doing as far as the draft goes, man.
NYG31, it is indeed Kidblue on the podcast. Kidblue, do something to make them know it's you.
Jabril Peppers. There we go.
There you go. Bradley says he wanted Tuska at 255. Were you here's the thing, right? Were you one of the guys that wanted Derek Tuska or that was high on him? I was actually one of the guys. And I was one of the dudes that I did not want Derek Tuska on this team at all because I thought he was super overrated. And I had been said from months before the draft that I think he's a 7th round pick. He ends up going basically second to last pick in the draft. I think that's exactly where he was needed. I think a lot of the stats of Tuska are kind of inflated by both the scheme that he ran at North Dakota State and also, the competition. I just did not want Tuska on the team.
And to be honest with you, I didn't really care too much about Tuska after we drafted Carter Coughlin. because we already filled that edge rusher role. And I honestly really like Tay Crowder at the inside linebacker position. I like him better than the other two inside linebackers we drafted. I really don't care too much about Cam Brown, and I really don't care about T.J. Brunson, but I really like Tay Crowder. I'm happy that we drafted him.
Really? What's something you can tell us about Tay Crowder? Maybe give the audience a little bit, because I have not looked into Tay Crowder that much.
So Tay Crowder has just one piece of film on there, and so I've asked Uncle Lou. I don't know if you guys know Uncle Lou, the college football YouTuber. He's a huge Georgia fan. I asked him about him.
Mm-hmm.
He said that as of right now, he definitely played better than he gets credit for. But he's not exactly a star-studded player, which I understand. He's a 7th-round pick. I'm not expecting that. But I'm telling you right now, from the one film, I can't remember who he played against. I'll have to look it up. But he played like a 2nd-round pick. If I was grading him based on just on that game alone, he played like a 2nd-round pick. This is a guy that used to play, that came into Georgia as a running back, and you know Georgia and their running backs, man. They've got plenty of running backs to go around. They had Nick Chubb,
Sony Michel,
Brian Harrion guy, Sony Michel, Todd Gurley, all these guys, right? So he was pretty much, behind everybody there. So he had to force himself to play a different position of need, and that was linebacker, and he played great at that. I believe he played from his sophomore to senior season at linebacker, and he was a finalist for the Dick Butkus Award in his final season, which is kind of appalling to me just because he barely gets playing time. He barely was used, but I mean that must show how good,
how effective he was, I guess.
Yeah, right. And so I'm looking at his one film that's on YouTube right now, and that is against Notre Dame. So if you guys have the chance, make sure you guys go on YouTube after this. Look up Tay Crowder versus Notre Dame 2019, and I guarantee you he will not be anything less in your eyes than a 2nd-round pick. I mean, I'm not saying that he should have been drafted in the 2nd round, but you see the potential there, man. He was literally everywhere the whole entire game. Like, he dominated in that game, and nobody even knows who he is. So, I mean, I'm excited about Tay Crowder. I looked at Cam Brown. I really don't like Cam Brown at all. And T.J. Brunson is a prototypical inside linebacker to me that's a little undersized, and I don't really care for it too much. But Tay Crowder, just seeing where he came from, having to adjust from being a running back to a linebacker and playing well at linebacker, I mean, I love everything about him, man. He has that underdog mentality. He has the mentality and has the resume of starting from the bottom and rising up, man. So he's starting from the bottom of the depth chart for the Giants, being drafted Mr. Irrelevant. I mean, that just adds to his story, should add to his motivation, and I honestly think he has a real good chance out of all the late-round picks to make the roster. I'm not joking.
I will say this, right? The thing with late-round picks and, basically like the 4th round onwards, everybody, in my opinion, has the same chance of making the roster, whether they were drafted in the 5th or the 7th. I think everybody's on an equal footing. And John Doe says that Tay Crowder played the day after a hernia surgery. He's super tough. So, I mean...
Right, yeah, he is very tough.
Extremely tough, dude. And he also says, bold prediction, Slayton gets more touches this year, leading to 1,200 yards receiving. He's high on Slayton. His route running aids him as much as his speed. I think he could be receiver number 1. I am really high on Darius Slayton also. I just don't know if he's going to be the number 1 receiver just yet. I actually don't even know if he will ever be the number 1 receiver for the Giants. But I'll tell you this, he's the best receiving option going into this year because of the offense.
Yeah, especially how the offense is set. There's going to be a lot of deep balls in this offense. And I see Darius Slayton really succeeding, man. But I think Darius Slayton is going to be really taking advantage of Sterling Shepard's availability, because Sterling Shepard has had multiple concussions in the past couple of years. And I just don't see him playing a full 16 games. Although, when healthy, I think Sterling Shepard is a fantastic wide receiver, better than anybody on the team, even Darius Slayton. But I think Darius Slayton is going to take advantage of that and start to demand targets. Golden Tate's great too, and I think his best years are behind him, but I think he can still produce. But I think Darius Slayton is definitely the number 1 guy going in.
For sure. So, on that, do you agree with that? Do you think he's going to have not 1,200 yards receiving, but you think Slayton would have the most receiving yards next year?
Yeah, I honestly think he could reach 1,000. I honestly do think so.
DJ
Chark can do it, and other receivers can do it in the past. DJ Chark did it last year, so I think Darius Slayton can definitely do it this year.
I have kind of a weird thing. It's like I think he could get the most yards, but I think the most targets is gonna go to Golden Tate or Sterling Shepard.
Possibly, yeah, definitely. I agree because Darius Slayton's going to get most of his yards, and they're going to be,
They're gonna be
for
just
long
deep throws,
distance.
yeah.
Right.
And getting off of now, we're gonna get rid of this when the facilities are open up thumbnail. The secondary expectations. I mean, did we kind of already talk about secondary expectations with like Donnie Holmes and Julian Love? We kind of already talked about that. Unless there's anybody else you want to bring up from the secondary, because right now we just got a bunch of bodies back there.
Yeah, I'm still reserving my thoughts on Corey Ballentine. I really like Corey Ballentine. I think he's a guy that can really turn out from being a late round pick. Again, it's all about production, and he's made some noise last year, man. He worked with the first team as a rookie during training camp as a seventh round pick or sixth round pick. I mean, he has defied expectations before,
I mean,
with
we
another
also got to
year under his
remember.
belt.
Yeah, I think we also got to remember, dude was shot the night he was drafted.
Right.
He lost his best friend. Like, physical and mental recovery is probably gonna take a while.
Exactly. So I firmly believe that Corey Ballentine is going to have another good training camp if we even have one. But I'm still reserved. I'm still not giving up on Corey Ballentine yet, man.
Is there anybody that you think, you know what? Actually, no. Is there is gonna be somebody who you think is getting cut from the secondary? Because we have too many. I think we got too many bodies back there. Like, you think it's gonna be Sam Beal that ends up getting cut? I mean, you just said you're high on Corey Ballantyne, so I don't think you're gonna choose him. But we do have
Well,
a lot of bodies back there.
well, it's very interesting because I think the guy that they will probably cut Sam Beal I think is going to get cut no matter what. I think he's done.
Hmm.
I don't really care for him anyway. It's not like he was a great cornerback when he's on the field, but he's never on the field. So it's not
Yeah.
like we're missing out on anything. So I don't really care. I'll cut my losses. He was a third round pick in the supplemental draft. I don't care. Um, as far as it's a little bit contradicting how I said I'm mostly high on Corey Bouncing, but I think Corey Bouncing is probably the guy that's maybe on his way out if all these other guys step up and he's the last one out just because he is a later round pick. He hasn't gotten much playing time. Grant Haley was a starting slot cornerback last year. Again, this is a new coaching staff, so maybe I'm wrong and maybe Grant Haley's the guy to be pushed out. But Grant Haley was the starting slot corner last year, so that means he's done something right. Julian Love, I think, is staying at safety for right now. I think they're going to be using a lot of three safety, packages with Xavier McKinney and Jabril Peppers. I think Julian Love is going to be the guy that's going to be out deep. So,
Man,
as
just
far as
in
that
general,
goes,
I think
right.
Love, Peppers, and McKinney are just all three of them are going to be all over the field this year. I'm excited to see how that works out.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see that. So as far as who's on their way out, I'll say it's between. I think Sam Beal is a definite, but I think it's going to be between on that roster bubble. It's going to be Grant Haley and Corey Ballentine.
Grant Haley and Corey Ballantyne. So you know what? I agree with you. I'm actually kind of on board with. I think the team is gonna give Ballantyne more of a chance. If I had to pick two players for sure, it's gonna be Sam Beal, and I'm kind of with you where it's like I don't really care for Beal. He hasn't really grown on me at all. But I do also think
Yeah,
it's gonna be Grant Haley, and I'm kind of sad about that because I like Grant Haley a lot. I like the fact that he's from
me
Penn
too.
State. I like the
Yeah,
relationship he had with Saquon at Penn State. The fact that he basically got his opportunity as an undrafted free agent, and he did outperform as an undrafted free agent. You're not supposed to be that good when you're an undrafted free agent. Make the team as a starting slot corner, and he did outperform. I like everything about Grant Haley and his story. It's just that he might not be good enough to stay on the team this year.
right. Exactly. I completely agree.
Well, I mean, maybe they keep him on his depth or something, but going back to slot corner, that slot corner role has a lot of depth right now. Is the one part of the secondary where we got more people than we know what to do with.
Exactly, and I'm really excited too because I think no matter which way you slice it, no matter who makes the team, I think we're gonna get some good production from the slot corner position. Darnay Holmes, I think I would be willing to say I know he's a fourth round pick, and I know he hasn't really played slot corner, but just with his skill set, I think he's automatically gonna be our starting slot corner. We're still waiting to see. Now I have my theories on Julian Love. I think he's gonna be the free safety we're going to throw out deep because I don't think Xavier McKinney or Jabril Peppers can do that. But I think he's going to be that guy at free safety, so I don't think he's going to be in the mix for slot. So Darnay Holmes, I think, is going to be the starting slot corner. And then it's for that dime position. It's really going to be up to Corey Ballentine and Donnie Holmes. So there's also that Askew Henry guy, Drayvon Askew Henry. I don't know if they're going to try him out at slot or maybe try him out on the outside. But as far as that dime position, it's really going to go to Grant Haley or Corey Ballentine. And I think whoever we end up with is going to be a damn good dime corner, man.
I agree with you for sure on the slot corner thing. Like I said, even if Julian Love gets shifted there, I still think Donnie Holmes has a better chance of taking the starting job. But if Donnie Holmes is the slot corner and you said they're keeping Love back deep, so if they're keeping Love back deep for free safety, how do you think they're gonna use McKinney with the defense?
Well, I think they're going to use Jabril Peppers and McKinney as field generals. I think they're going to allow them to do whatever they really want to do as far as just staying in the box and using less and it confuses me just because I'm still waiting to see how they're going to run this scheme because I don't have it all figured out yet. I've thought about it in my head a couple of times. You know, you paid all these linebackers, right? You paid David Mayo. You drafted 3 inside linebackers. You paid Blake Martinez. And I think you have Ryan Connolly there as well. You have so many inside linebackers, but yet you have Xavier McKinney and Jabril Peppers. You still got Julian Love. This is a new coaching staff, so you don't know if they're going to put him at corner. But let's just say you do put him at corner. Where the hell are you going to put him? You drafted Donnie Holmes as well. So they really overloaded the defensive backs. I don't know why, because they overloaded the defensive backs and they overloaded the inside linebacker. So I think they got something up their sleeves, but I don't really have it figured out yet. So it's very, very hard to figure out what the hell they're gonna do, man.
John Doe says something that I completely agree with. He says McKinney is a whole lot better outside the box than I expected. His combine makes people think he can't play free safety. I've seen nothing on tape that showed me that McKinney can't do that. He makes very little mistakes. I agree with him. I do think McKinney can play free safety a bit better than maybe you're giving him credit for. I think the dude he's not great in coverage, but I think he's good enough.
No, yes, he's good. He's good enough. Don't get me wrong. He's good enough. I'll tell you right now. You watch any film from Xavier McKinney, he sucked playing by himself, playing cover one.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know which receivers to cover. He was very confused. He saw his head keep jerking back and forth to see who he's going to cover. He was always wrong on guessing who to cover. He wasn't great at he was great at high pointing the ball, but he wasn't great at playing the ball when the ball was in the air as far as finding the receiver who to cover. He was constantly missing reads, playing by himself from cover one. That's not his strong suit at all.
Okay. You know what? I do agree with you there. When he was basically left on an island, could have been better. But it's going to be interesting to see how the Giants are going to juggle him, Peppers, and Love. Because I'm not sure if they're going to switch the guy over to slot corner. They might keep him back there. Love he was pretty good on some occasions last year. I've heard, this is a strange thing though. I've heard people saying shift Love to outside cornerback with the whole DeAndre Baker situation. Let's say the whole DeAndre Baker situation just goes left. Do you think that's a smart decision, shifting Julian Love out to outside? I'm not sure how I feel about that.
To be honest, I would. Who else are you going to throw out there? I mean, everybody else that we have are slot corners, and Julian Love played outside corner in Notre Dame. He's just like Donnie Holmes was last year. Donnie Holmes never played slot corner, but he was slated as a slot corner. So he was slated as a slot corner, and he wound up playing slot corner and free safety. But he played outside corner in
I don't know if he's quick enough for it though. I don't know if he's quick enough to be on the outside.
Right, but you have to be very quick to be on the slot as well. You're facing smaller slot, speedier receivers. But it says here, hold on, Thomas bench 21 reps, McKinney bench 19 at 201. Why is nobody talking about that? That's exactly my point, John Doe. Xavier McKinney is more of a strong safety. He's a guy that's going to line up in the box. The problem is why I don't want to throw Xavier McKinney at free safety is because that's not his strong suit. I want to use all the players to their best of their ability. Joe Judge said it himself. Don't tell me what these players can't do. Tell me what they can do. That means throw these players at their strengths, right? Jabril Peppers, He's best in the box. So is Xavier McKinney. I don't want to draft a guy in the second round to use him for something that is not that he's not best at. I want to use all these players to what they're best at. And Xavier McKinney is best in the box. Can he play free safety? Absolutely. But if you wanted to draft a free safety, you should have drafted Antoine Winfield.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, going back to the whole Swiss Army knife when you were talking about Isaiah Simmons earlier, McKinney is going to be our Isaiah Simmons, basically, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
And in terms of secondary expectations, that was really all that I had slated for that. Any general Giants topic you want to go over, KB?
I mean, not too much I have in mind, no. I don't have anything in mind.
Well, in that case, I think that's about it for this episode of The Young Guns. I mean, we actually have a name now, guys. Let us know what you think about the names, The Young Guns Podcast. Well, me or KB, I was thinking about making maybe a logo for the podcast or something. What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah, man. Let's do it.
For sure. Well, thank you to everybody that tuned in. It was pretty damn fun, especially the beginning when we talked about predicting the NFC East. Cowboys Mania ran wild throughout here with Skip Bayless. The soul of Skip Bayless corrupted Kidblue for a hot 10 minutes. It was crazy. It was a fun stream, you guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you go over to Kidblue's channel, subscribe to him, check out all his vids. It's all that. Mike Nixon, you're here. Thank God. He said, "What up, the Hub Kidblue?" Mike Nixon, my guy. I have to tell you right now, I am so sorry about what happened earlier today. Mike Nixon, big shout out to him. He gave me a $50 super chat, by far the largest super chat I've ever gotten on this channel. I thank you so much for that. But it came during the worst time because I was attempting a video stream that completely collapsed. I tried to restart the stream 3 times and my laptop couldn't handle it. It just can't handle streaming from the laptop. And so I didn't even get to tell Mike Nixon a proper thank you. Thank you so much, man. I don't want you to feel as though it went ignored or anything, because that's a really, really huge, donation. It means a lot to me.
Yeah, Mike Nixon's always a huge supporter of all the channels, man. I appreciate Mike Nixon so much, man, for the support on my channel, and thank you for. I'm speaking from Cush's on behalf of Cush as well, the Hub. Thank you, Mike Nixon.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Definitely hit the replay button on this. We're wrapping up right now. I'm sure, Mike, you're gonna love it, especially the beginning part of the podcast. A lot of people loved it, the whole NFC East and Cowboys Mania thing. That was really fun, but we covered a lot of good stuff, guys. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. Any last comments, KB?
Oh, man, I'm just excited to get some football again, man. We're all itching for it. Just these talks are definitely helping out and giving our football fixes, man. We're just itching for some more football. Definitely love being on the show, man. I appreciate it. You having me on the channel and everybody in the chat. And yeah, I just want to say, I had a good time today, man. We had a good time.
KB, I'm going to have to ask you one thing. You're going to have to say that you're glad to be on the show, because it is our show now. It is a legit show that we're running now.
That's right. So I'm part of the brand.
It's all part of the brand. It's the Young Guns, hosted by both myself and KB. For those of you that don't know, every Tuesday night, we're gonna try to get it out 8:30 every night. If there's any type of time change, we'll let you guys know as soon as possible. So it's gonna alternate channels. Like this week, it was on my channel. Next week, it's gonna be on Kidblue's channel. Back and forth, back and forth. Anything that I'm missing regarding the show?
Oh no, I think we're good, man.
And keep your eye out for the Madden versus. I have yet to make that the hype video. I've just been so busy.
Don't worry about it, man. Whenever you come out with it, I wanna get my material from that. So you come out with yours, then I'll come out with mine.
For those of you that don't know, me and Kidblue gotta play Madden at some point now. Now, I am not the greatest player at Madden, but I believe I can whoop this dude in it. I'm just saying. I've seen his Madden streams, and I'm like, I don't know how he's been winning against this people. It's a fake 20 win streak, all right? That's fake news. That's not real. I can take Kidblue, okay? And so I'm going to make a whole boxing type hype video and put it out before the match. This dude is going down.
We'll see about that, man. I can't wait for the trailers, man. I can't wait for that.
Mike Nixon said, "The Hub, you deserve the donation." Thank you so much, man. John Doe, I had a great time. Peace, y'all. And no, McKinney shouldn't be a free safety, but Winfield had injury concerns. I guess a last few thoughts, as we got some last minute questions here. What do you think about that with Winfield and his injury concerns?
I get that, but as far as what the Giants should do, I don't know if that's what they want to do, but from my point of view, back in the draft, what they should do was find a free safety that can cover all around the field. And I get the injury concerns, but I'm still going Antoine Winfield with what he gives me, what he provides, man. He's just another Tyrann Mathieu, and that's exactly what I wanted on this team. Especially that I
I
wanted
think you
Tyrann
compared
Mathieu
him
on this.
also to Buda Baker.
Yeah, I compared him to Buda Baker, Tyrann Mathieu, and Darnell Savage last year that he got drafted by Green Bay. They're all the same player, man. Small little rockets that know how to tackle and has very good pass coverage. So, yeah, I still loved Winfield despite that. And he says, "Do you like Cameron Brown?" Absolutely not, man.
Yeah, Cam Brown is
Terrible.
Cam Brown has to show me a lot more before I like him. I like the fact that he trash talks the Cowboys on Twitter, but he's gonna have to show me some more stuff on the field.
Yeah, for sure.
And with that being said, we're gonna end it now. Once again, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to everybody that super chatted. You guys had great questions tonight. Like I'll be honest with you, like I said, we do the streams now to kind of both keep ourselves, our own football hunger satiated, but also for you guys, and you guys help out a lot with amazing questions.
Yeah, for sure.